And we're live.
We're late.
Everyone thinks because you're a zombie, you don't know good coffee. Well, they're wrong. There's only one brew that gets my seal of approval. Deadly Grounds coffee is my guilty pleasure. The aroma is so intoxicating. It brings all of my neighbors out of the woodwork. Deadly Grounds coffee. Coffee to die for and zombie approved. It's good to get a little deadly. Use the front door! Oh, they're so disgusting.
The Dorkening and all affiliated shows are not intended for anyone under the age of 18. The following may contain discussions or scenes that have adult situations, graphic violence, nudity, strong sexual content, and graphic language. This
There's a secret sound hidden deep within the center of the earth. Until you listen closely enough, you can hear it. And it sounds like razors through flesh. We are merely here to turn up the volume.
You're watching Tanner's Haunted Secrets
on the Outline Network. What they say.
Dun, dun, dun. And hello. Welcome to our corner of the freak show of this haunt industry. Today, I'm very excited. We have Raz and we have Friday also joining us back. And we have Troy. And I'm going to butcher this last name because I just cannot remember how to pronounce it. But I'm not calling you for your extended car warranty.
Damn it. I need it. I need one.
So it's Troy Crivellone. Yep, I screwed it up. Troy, how do you pronounce your last name? Because I can't do it.
That was very fancy. I think I might use that. It's Crivellone.
Crivellone. I keep on thinking croissant, and I know that's wrong.
I like croissants, so that's fine. That's fine.
And Troy, we're really glad that you came on the show tonight, and I've been looking forward to it. And I know that you're not taking part in the Tater Con that is still not back yet, I do believe.
No, they're still on their massive ship.
But you know what? We're glad that you're here. That way you can spend quality time with us.
Mm-hmm.
And Troy, just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Oh, so you have 4 hours? Okay.
I said a little.
I've been told to do an elevator pitch about myself, and I'm still not done with it. And it was asked about 4 years ago. So, so I have a really weird story about how I got into this industry. I was into Christmas, very much into Christmas. Because I did a lot of theater lighting in high school, but I also used to obviously decorate my parents' house with Christmas lights. And then I moved out and continued that. And I thought, Halloween is for, kids and, whatever, and slutty nurses at bars and things like that. And I'm like, there's nothing for us to do. And partially that's because nobody in my area, when I was even growing up, did anything like we do. There were a couple of haunted houses, what I like to call the radio station haunts, where they only had the radio station marketing and they were always sponsored by a radio station. And was the only haunt that we knew of. And living in Portland, Oregon, I didn't really have a lot of haunts, and they still don't. So I didn't really care for Halloween, and I got into high school and got into, after high school stuff. And I met my wife. And she, pretty early on in our marriage, which now in hindsight should have been a signal to me, that she said, why don't you go down in the basement and make something? We had a house with an awesome basement. And she was like, why don't you go down in the basement and make something for Halloween like you do for Christmas? And I was like, this was like, we got married in September. And so that's obviously October's the next month. So she already wanted me down in the basement within a month of being married, And I was like, there's no, what I can go to the store and buy something that, at the time it was basically Spirit was, I don't even know if Spirit was around. So you had Spencer's, you had the stuff at like Walmart and Target and stuff like that. And I was like, so what do you build for Halloween? I don't, and even the houses I had lived in previous to meeting her and stuff, nobody in the area did anything either. So, I was like, well, I'll just go on the internet and I'll look around and be like Halloween prop or whatever. And I believe I still can't remember if it was Monster List or if it was Halloween Forum. I think I found Monster List first because that was just on the internet, where Halloween Forum was where you went after you found the Monster List. And I don't remember what I looked at, but I was like, oh, I could use like a desk fan. And so I went to Goodwill, I bought a desk fan, and I ripped it all apart, and I got this mask while I was there, and I put a foam head. I clipped all the tines around the face of the thing, not realizing that I could have just pulled off half of it. But I cut them all, and then I stuck a foam head to the fan and put a mask on it, dressed it all in a thing, put a piece of wood behind it so that it would go down his back, and sat him in a chair in front of my yard. And he just sat there and did this. That's all he did. Gross face, flannel with blood on it, whatever. I don't even know what I used for blood. I may not have had blood on it either. And then Halloween night, I got into that outfit and the mask and sat there in the same spot because we were in a very busy street. Kids were walking up and down it all the time. Cars, there's probably 500 cars an hour that went down this thing during traffic time. And so I just sat there as kids would walk up and then I would just go, "Lah!" And they, because they had seen me every day, they had seen this guy out there every day just moving his head back and forth. And so I got, as with all of us, I got that first, "Lah!" And I was like, oh, this is fun. This is I love it. This is, what, that was a weird feeling. And I can't really, I don't know how it all happened, but within a year, we were making we made a mausoleum out of cardboard and 2x2s. And I just, when I was sending you guys stuff the other day, I actually went through that video and I didn't realize we used cardboard. Now, I didn't actually build, I had a bunch of friends that decided to do this all with me. I was like, guys, I got this crazy idea. Let's build this. Let's have people walk up our walkway and we'll scare them and stuff. Probably thinking I was a pioneer on this stuff and nobody else did it. And so they had built the frame and then we were building, we had painted and we lived in Oregon. And Oregon, it rains a lot. And I don't know, I know that the mausoleum held up for Halloween. Because my friend would bust out of it. We just put up different scenes. And that guy who his head moves back and forth was in my haunts for probably 12 or 13 years. Every year he was something different. We put him up. He was drinking toxic goo one time. He was a bartender. He was watching TV one time, just all kinds of crazy stuff. And, we just continued to add people to our staff, and we would have a meeting in January and we would say, well, what are we going to do? We'd have a big whiteboard and we're like, okay, here's the rooms. And we would start doing all this crime, stuff that pro haunts do now. And we came up with, each person or couple had a room. Me and my friend Dean would build all of it. We would build all the rooms out of pallets and things like that. And then they would go in and decorate them and paint them and do whatever they wanted in it. And so every year we decided that we were going to do something different. We would never, ever, ever do the same theme twice. So we would get all this stuff and then we'd give it all away at the end of the year. And we would repurpose it into something the next year. One year we did a town. And it was the priest decided that he wanted to get some money for the town. And this water company wanted to try out this new water with us. And it was involved with the government and all this kind of stuff. And the priest gave us all the water. We all turned bad. We burned down the church and everything. And then the priest got all, the priest left and all that. And we had this big research facility right in the front of my front yard after you came out of this blackout tunnel. And they had these giant glass doors. and they were from the Portland World Trade Center. They were getting rid of them, and they were just out in a dumpster one day. And my friend of mine was there, and she goes, "Can we have those?" And they're like, "For what?" They were very, very heavy. They're like, "For what?" We're like, "That's a haunted house." And they're like, "All right, cool. Here, yeah, come back. Hey, if they're in the dumpster, they're yours to take." So like 5 of us went there with a big old truck and trailer. And I mean, they were very, very heavy, and it was the craziest thing because we never thought that we'd be able to get rid of them. And that was the heyday of Craigslist at that time. And we put them up on free for Craigslist, and they were gone in an hour. I don't know where they went, but they're gone. We did that. We did one year. We had a cabin facade. It was like a butcher cabin, and we even designed it where you were looking at the front of it. You walked up to the front of the butcher shop, and there was this big fridge in there, and it was an old green lead-lined fridge, which I didn't know was lead-lined until I started to drill into it so that I could put a fog machine through the back and all kinds of stuff. And so we got that fridge from somebody out in the boonies, and we thought again, I mean, I'm drilling holes in the back of this thing. It's not usable for anything anymore. And that again left very quickly after Halloween. So we were counting our blessings that we were not able to, that I didn't have all these extra things that were just laying around my yard for years and years. But we started that first year with, a couple of scenes, and we probably had maybe 100 people come by. And by the time we left that property, we were there for 5 years. We had 3,000 people go through over 3 nights. And it was just, we had them down the street. We even had a pro haunt come down the street to us and go, "So no wonder we don't have any people at our haunt tonight," because they were all at my place. And I was like, "Well, yeah, it's free. It's free." And they were like, "Yeah, this is better." And then we moved because I have a problem with, and so it's good that I bought this house now, because every rental house we've lived in, the people who have owned it have died. This is the creepiest thing. The people that owned my first house, they died in a car accident, and the kids wanted to sell the house. So then we had to leave. The second people, they died of old age, and the kids did not want to keep it. And so we got kicked out of there too. And then, and this last one we just left because it was dangerous. We didn't want to live there anymore. But we did a couple of years at the second house, and that's when I encountered the city. And the city decided that they were going to fend off anybody that didn't want us there and thought that we were doing a bad thing. We had a giant motel that came out from out from the garage into the end of the driveway. And they were like, "Well, that's against every regulation we have in this city." And so, but they said, "But we want to help you because we love what you're doing. We love the tourism aspect of it. You're bringing people here and all that." So we went to the city council, and I drew up this big old plan. We had 6 hearses show up at the city council meeting with us, and we filled the room. They had never had anybody fill the room before. And we said our piece about what we're doing, why we do home haunting, why it's good for the community. We had neighbors that were actors, kids in the neighborhood, the whole misfit toy aspect of haunting. And they were like, "That's so awesome." We had a charity box out there for food and stuff. And at the end of the meeting, the city decided to pay for half of the permit fee for us because they loved what we were doing. And it also stopped any neighbors from going, "Well, how you got the Satan house over there?" And so we, I've actually sent that letter that speech that I gave. I've sent that to people all over the country over the years. To kind of use as a guideline of what you could say and
Right.
And what helped us win over a city. And then we moved to our previous house to this, did a cool little graveyard for a while. And then now we are here in Texas. We decided to move from Portland to Texas, and we are restarting our home haunt here. And we are moving on from. We had a graveyard for for several years, and just expanded on that. And that was one of the things that I told my wife when we were moving here. Is I said, we got a 24-foot trailer from a truck, and I said the first thing that's going in there is all of my Halloween fencing and the majority of our, tombstones and things like that, because everybody who's listening has made cemetery fencing in their day, and it's so time consuming, but it's so cool. And so I was like, I'm not making that again. So we filled the first 8 feet of that truck with Halloween. And it was a major thing for me that I needed to bring it. That was my part that I needed to bring with me. The graveyards are the best because you can just expand on them.
I agree.
Yes. Yeah. Right. It's cemeteries allow you to do a lot. I've always been like, people who like buy all the stuff from Home Depot and they put it in a cemetery. I'm like, I'm more of a purist on that type of thing, where I'm like, if I have a cemetery, it needs to be in a cemetery. Like a 12-foot pumpkin inferno guy doesn't fit, or a witch doesn't fit in my cemetery. Now I was able to actually fit the witch, the big 12-foot witch, into my cemetery because I used the original, the only male witch to be killed during the Salem witch trials. I had his stone in my graveyard, and so I put that witch above him. Now, granted, it's a female witch, but so it fit. I was like, that was my excuse for buying her, because I knew that I wanted her, and I made it I made it interactive by kids could push a button on the outside of the fence and it would turn her on, because it was just too far back for the sensor to catch, and those sensors are crap anyways. And so people could push the button and they were like, oh, this is so cool. So
it's epic.
So yeah, so we're here now, but now we've decided that we're going to go with Universal Monsters. My wife is a huge fan of Frankenstein, Dr. Frankenstein and the monster. And so that's what we're starting with this year is a lab. And everybody's kind of done a lab before, but we all do it differently. We all put our own spin on it. And Spirit Halloween had their big display a couple of years ago with all the bubble tubes and plasma stuff. We got all of it. And that also went with us from Portland to, like, we knew we weren't going to have a haunt the next year because we were going to move in July. And so everybody was like, you just got all that stuff and you're moving. I go, because I'll never be able to get it again. So.
And then when you can get it again, it's like a lot of people will go in there and buy it, like copies, just to resell later. Like I know, when we were opening, our owner bought 2 of the Home Depot skeletons, because the year we opened was the year that they were first, like the big thing. And I think he ended up buying a couple of them and then, reselling them. But like when he was in the reselling process, he didn't want to like charge people an arm and a leg, but he was going there and looking. And this one guy bought 10 of them. And when they went out of production, he was selling them for 3 times the price. And was just like, I can't do that to someone. I can't bring myself to do that to another human being. But there's a big market that people just buy up this limited time stuff, and they just through the roof, man.
Yeah,
through the roof.
Yeah, it's that always, I'm friends with some of the people that run like the Home Depot Halloween groups and stuff like that, and it's a big problem. Because it's just the people that are doing it are not haunters. They're not us, because we don't do that type of stuff. Sure. There's a bunch of us that make products and we increase the price because we made it, that's one of my biggest things. I have friends that will ask me, I actually had my friend Christopher ask me the other day, he's making a man-eating plant, and he goes, do you think people would buy this for $200? And I said, well, here's the thing. I go, Home Depot sold a man-eating plant that talked and moved and all that stuff for about $200 to $250. Yours is a static thing. It's amazing. You did an amazing job on it. It's got way more detail, and you could use it all year round, but you could also use it in your haunt where it would be very authentic. And I was like, there's your problem. Home Depot has made it to where a man-eating plant now has to be animated and everything for it to be worth $200, where your time and your talent and effort is absolutely worth $200. But will somebody pay that now, because now they can possibly go to Home Depot and buy something cheaper? And I don't like that, but my friends will always ask me, what should we charge for something? And I go, stop asking me. Yes, Christopher, it is.
You had me at man-eating plant personally.
Right. And it's like, I am cheap. My friends will tell you all that I am super cheap. I will take forever to buy something. We went to Orlando one year and I took a month to buy the package to take my family there because I plotted the prices and figured out all the little things. And I do that with Halloween.
The same thing.
With Halloween, most of the stuff that we built over the years was nothing. I mean, we spent so little on it. Jim is a very good attest to my cheapness. That we did everything like a home haunter should. It was built out of everything. We would drive around neighborhoods, grab it. It was. So when somebody says, "Well, what would you charge for that?" I can't tell them because I'd be like, I ain't paying that. Not that I don't think it's worth it. It's just I won't be able to afford it, and it's tough for me to come up with a price because I also didn't make it, So I don't know what your effort is that you put into it. I would say thrifty more than cheap. Yeah.
I wanted to pop in real quick, and Christopher says to check out Tri-Haunt Creations. If you got a link, man, you can go ahead and feel free to slap that link up there for people to check out if you'd like.
One guy.
We're good with that. We're fine with that. We're here to celebrate haunts. You know what I mean? As long as the links are haunt related,
Yep.
We're 100% good with that.
Everything that is in the haunt industry, that is exactly why this show was created. And I know exactly who Christopher is. And, I was really happy to have Troy come on here and just talk about everything that's Troy. I'm sure he's going to even talk about Taco Bell.
No,
I was going to ask him how Taco Bell was today. Yeah,
it was fantastic. It was great. It absolutely hit the spot. I actually showed some of my coworkers because they had noticed, coworkers and that the other drivers, and I showed them my Taco Bell total for last year, and they go, "Was it 24,000 for the year?" And I go, "No. I go, "That's the 12-year total." And so, last year it was only 1,600 because I moved and I had like 2 months where there was no Taco Bell near me. And so, Christopher is one of my closest friends. Jim is as well. Jim is my partner in Terror Tours, and Christopher is my partner in the Home Haunter Awards. In so many antics. He's very we are very complimentary of each other. And he is a fantastic home haunter in the attitude and his talents, but he shirt off his back type of guy, just like I know a lot of us are.
Right.
And we have a pretty damn awesome community here. I will tell you that right now. I mean, it's every day something comes up where it just reminds me why I'm in this industry and why I got into it. The people that helped me get into it, like Steve Reeves, Yard Hunter 5, Jose from Hunter's Hangout. He before he did that, he was Diablo 85, and he did so many YouTube videos. Tim Thompson, Scuba, just all these people, Alan Hops, of course, just said, you can do this. And then I was able to do it. And then I started figuring out, well, I can put out YouTube videos. I can do DIY stuff. So I did start a channel, and I've got DIY videos, and I've got a lot of people who watch my videos, and then I watch all of theirs. And, I learn from everybody. It's such a symbiotic's the wrong word. It's full circle all the time.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to go to bed already? I'm boring you already.
No, just get up early.
Oh, well, just put your little Bluetooth speaker right next to your head, and I will just lull you to sleep with my droning about myself for the next 2 hours.
Oh, she'll watch the replay.
Yeah, there you go.
Right.
There you go.
That's what she does in the morning. She catches the replay and then she sends me comments.
Nice. I love it.
So, I gotta say, the Taco Bell thing really cracks me up because it's usually between you and Ethan Mark Turin that I see your pages, and it's like every time I'm looking, they're like, one of you two have got a receipt from Taco Bell, or you're at a Taco Bell, And in my family, I'm the only one in my whole family that doesn't like Taco Bell because stomach problems. It's not the taste, it's the intestines. And I do miss it. But I feel like that I get to experience Taco Bell so much, the two of you, that I just don't need to go. Like, I don't need to, because I can just be like, I remember what that tastes like.
Right. Yeah. People say that, like they'll send me those videos and those nasty, things of, crap coming out of pipes and things like that. Good. I can't wait to hear your feedback. That's going to be awesome.
Instead of Taco Bell, it's Toxic Hell. That's the one I hear probably the most.
Right. And I'm like, I haven't gained weight in years, but I also have very high metabolism. Everybody will tell you that I go a mile a minute. I am always busy. I'm always doing something.
Right.
But also, Taco Bell is the healthiest fast food option, voted many, many times over, and actually proven that it is the healthiest fast food option because of the lettuce, the tomatoes, the rice, the tortillas, the different, the sour cream, things like that. It's way healthier than a burger by, leaps and bounds. I'm really coming out of my shell, Christopher. I'm like fidgeting, and I'm really like, I don't know, like I'm just nervous. Okay, guys.
I need Taco Bell.
I should have had Taco Bell for this.
I have expected you to at least have a Taco Bell cup you're drinking from. I'm a little let down, if I'm being honest, man.
No, right near. Well, I have a Buc-ee's near me, but I also have QT. And QT has the giant sodas.
Dude, I don't know if you can see it, but I got my big gulp. Every show, I've got my giant big gulp sitting over here.
Yeah, there you go.
Circle K.
But that's a Mountain Dew cup, so that is major points.
Yeah.
I will give you major points on that. Because that's the one that's only there, right?
They just announced it, and it is slowly getting in stores.
Like the Baja finally did, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, this Purple Thunder has been there for so long, and now they're working it into the cans where you can pick it up at some of the stores. Oh, it tastes like grape.
Oh, so it's a grape soda?
Oh my gosh, it's amazing.
See,
too bad my sugar don't like it.
That's the one thing Mountain Dew hasn't really ever touched on. They've always done those weird like mango and the made up fruits that they find in some Amazon jungle that they try to squeeze stuff out of. And I'm like, none of that stuff works. And then but grape, okay. All right.
My friends all call me the. Go ahead.
Circle K actually came out with a Purple Thunder that was a slushie.
Yep, slushy.
I put some tequila in that, and I'm done.
A lot of my friends and family call me the Dennis Leary of Mountain Dew because I will only drink Mountain Dew flavored Mountain Dew, and I've tried every flavor, every one of them. I'll take a sip. Oh, that's not too, and then that aftertaste hits me, and every one of them have almost the same aftertaste, no matter what the flavor is, man.
Yeah, Baja Blast is really the only other one that I'll drink. Like the Code Red is absolute garbage. I really only do Baja Blast and regular.
Where I live, one of the biggest testing markets for new flavors of sodas for Pepsi is here in Ohio. So we get a lot of people from other states and from Canada all coming down and swarming all of our supermarkets. When something new comes out, everywhere is a fucking nightmare. And it started with Code Red. And what I found was Code Red was disgusting. One day I left it in the freezer too long, and I just ripped the top of the bottle. I just had it as a slushie. It changes the taste when you freeze it. And I actually liked it a lot as a slushie, but like regular, I could not stand it at all.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I always tell people that again, on the track of Taco Bell being healthy for you too. And I actually just saw a news article about this the other day, and I was like, how did people not know this? Mountain Dew is actually the first or maybe the second ingredient, but I think it's carbonated water and orange juice.
Thank you, my friend. You're the only other person other than me that I know of to say this in public. And every time people ride my ass to say it's got orange juice in it, fuck you, no, it doesn't. I will grab a bottle or a can every time just to prove my point.
It's right there. And how many people have orange juice for breakfast? And that's where it gets that little bit of tang to it. And it's like, it is orange juice. It's good for you. So drink your Mountain Dew, people. Yeah,
it's water and orange juice with a little bit of flavoring. That's what I tell everybody.
Right.
It's a balanced breakfast.
Make it colorful.
Yep.
For the
never in my
time,
mind.
I thought that Mountain Dew was not colored. When I was a kid, I thought it wasn't colored. I thought it was just the glass that people put it in. You know, like the glass was yellow. I don't know.
We have glass bottles then though too, so that kind of makes sense though.
Right. I thought that since it was a green bottle, same with, you know, Coke is that way. It was now Coke was in a clear bottle, but it was already brown. So I thought, okay, you know, I didn't put 2 and 2 together. I wasn't the sharpest kid, and it was green. I mean, it would pour out and it was green, but you know, and the can is all opaque, so you can't see through it. So I thought it wasn't green either. I was like, well, whatever.
Never in my mind did I think that this haunt show was going to go and talk about Taco Bell and Mountain Dew and nutritional facts.
And Pyle, how long have you known me?
Oh, I've known you for a very long time.
Yeah. This show started on a train track, and it's rumbling down a back road in the middle of nowhere right now. So,
you know, for being called the Outlight Network, our whole network is really built by squirrels because we squirrel out on all the shows so much that Dell, one of our other co-hosts, actually has a squirrel puppet, and she's usually here right now with a squirrel puppet, like bouncing it around the screen to let us know what's happening.
We've ended up in Bedice, Texas. That is how off we are right now.
Yeah,
there you go.
And that's in the middle of nowhere.
It is.
Yep.
It is. Yeah.
So let's start getting this train back on the rails a little bit here.
Brought to you by Orange
I don't know if we'll get back to Botkins ever, so let's try.
Yeah, maybe.
Gosh, yeah, no kidding.
Anyway, we're gonna travel like by map, like the Muppets. Just hit it, and then we'll play some music, and then bam, Botkins.
There you go.
So, Scream Hollow,
Scare Hollow.
Yep.
Scream Hollow is a haunt down by us. Me and Friday. That's in Austin. Trademark name. You can't say that, Pyle.
Okay. Way to go, pal.
It's a funny story about Scare Hollow. When I was so excited when I made the name. Well, okay, I can't claim that at all. I have to backtrack that whole thing. Basically, my wife is responsible for all of this. She's responsible for me. She's responsible for all the stuff that I do. I blame everything on her. So it should be damn it, Ashley, not damn it, Troy. But she came up with the logo, which is right behind me right here. And there it is. And if you look, there's an S and an H in the branches.
Ooh, here.
Right there. So that was actually part of it. People over the years, people have actually said, well, there's like you can see hell in there and stuff like that. There's actually no other letters. S and H are the only letters that are actually drawn into it. But she drew that on a piece of tracing paper one time. She was just messing around and she's like, let's do that. And so she came up with the tree and I'm pretty sure she came up with Scare Hollow. That may have been a collaborative thing, but I got so excited about it because I don't get excited about things. I don't just fly off the handle and just go do things crazily. I went online, I made the website, and I made the email. I think I did the email first, and I signed. And I'm pretty sure it was on AOL. Yeah, it was.
I still have like 5 AOL screen names.
Oh yeah. And it was scarehollow@AOL.com. Well, dumbass me typed an A instead of an O, so it was Scare Hollow for a while. It took us like a month to realize that it was Hallow, and my wife goes, "You know, you spelled it wrong, right?" And I was like, "Yeah, I totally did it. That was on purpose. What are you talking about? It's a play on words, okay?"
Our haunt owner did the same thing. So all our email stuff, like our old stuff that we still use, is instead of dungeon, it's Dungan. It's just that one letter was just that in place, and everybody did it and ran with it, and it was almost like by the time we were opening finally that year, that I came on board. I was like, "Why does this say Dungan?" And they're like, "Oh shit!"
So, yeah,
oh my gosh,
it's crazy.
So we have pictures or we have videos of this, right?
We do.
We have some.
Of my
now,
first crazy year.
Some of the files were not, they were either too large or they were in a file type that StreamYard decided existed. We do have some of the things uploaded already. If you want to play something that's not there, let me know, and I can screen share and just bring up the video.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
For those.
Whatever. Yeah.
I'll get this going over here on the background on my end, so if you guys tell me you want me to jump to it, I can jump to it.
You guys put whatever you want up, and I can talk about it.
Okay.
And he will too.
Playing or am I playing?
Oh, you can play the videos from here. If you need something that's
Okay.
not from here, though, tell me and I can play it from mine. Because I do have I had this stuff from 2008 to 2022 to kind of see how far things have come, but those I have to play on my computer. Those are the only two of the videos that I have to play on mine. The rest of them you can just play on StreamYard.
I've been at this for 18 years now, so there's quite a bit. Pyle asked me for stuff, and I go, "Here's a sliver." It's not even. It was kind of
like
fun.
If we're gonna talk this real quick, I'll go ahead and screen share and.
Fancy meeting you here. That's rude.
That was cool. I'm sorry.
Me and Christopher. That was during COVID year, and that was for the Home Haunter Awards, and we couldn't obviously do it together, and so I think that was the first year of the Home Haunter Awards that we did it, and that we did a video. And so I had a cemetery down the street from me and across from my daughter's school, and we went back there and I filmed a bunch of stuff in there and did silly. We were talking about Fillmore earlier before the show started, and that's I was getting into the using me coming out from behind that, and then I have other ones where it's like me coming out of a mausoleum, but then I also show up over here. And so like triple filming things. And like I show up one year, we did it at another cemetery, and I literally show up on both sides of a stone and I'm talking to myself. So lots of cemetery stuff, because cemeteries are the best things to film in there. I mean, if you need a Halloween backdrop for any sort of video, just go to a cemetery. If somebody says, "Hey, I need something Halloween related in March," there's a cemetery down the street. Go find it, make cool videos in it.
Oh yeah.
But also that's like, I get so much inspiration. I have folders of cemetery pictures because I don't, like I said, I like to keep it as real as possible. And when we were at each city I lived in, our cemetery or our haunt had a tie-in to it. One year I lived near Bella Vista Park in Gresham, Oregon. And so we named our haunt. Every year it's Scare Hollow Productions now. And then we named the haunt something different every year because we would change it. And so that once we got to that house, it was the Hollow Vista Cemetery. And then in the cemetery, we had stones that were replicas, as good as I could get, to stones that were in the real cemeteries in Gresham and about those people. So we tied in the history of the city into our cemetery and into our backstory and things like that. And that always, we kind of learned that with Wood Village a little bit because they're the ones that came down on us on the city. And so we actually put in the motel, we named the motel after an original motel that was in the city. We actually got them to give us like an architectural drawing of it. And we put that up on the wall, like as a picture. And that was one of our drop panel walls. And so, the architect, because most people put portraits up for drop panel walls. Well, no, we put an architectural drawing up instead. So we always tried to tie in the history. And that allowed us to, not have the cities come after us. And it also allowed people, when they would walk by, they would go, "Oh, well, that's literally the street we're on right now is that name." And they're like, but so then they would like think about it. And some of them would ask me, "Is that a real like person?" I'm like, "Yeah, that's a real person. That's who the name of the street is. That's who it's named after." And their real cemeteries, plot is right there in that cemetery back there. And, so we liked doing that because it also allowed me to learn how to carve different types of stones as well. There was one family that had a main stone, and then they had these little wedge stones, and they were like a little wedge thing like this, and then they had a flat part, and they were only like this big, and I still have them now. And I just love how they're just this little stone. You don't have to make these giant stones because, as you can see, even behind her, there's like 15 different sizes back there of stones. We went to Plymouth, Massachusetts several years ago, and there's several graveyards all over the country that, that are home hunter graveyards that have the big 4-foot stones. They're big, they have the big arch. They're big and there are a lot of them were modeled after a certain graveyard in Oregon, the Davis graveyard. And they were modeled after those because that's what a lot of people would learn from. And they would see their stones and they would just do that. Well, I had never seen those in the wild. Like I had really never seen these big giant 4-foot tall slabs of granite in the wild. They were always much shorter than that. And we went to this cemetery in Plymouth, and that's one of the original cemeteries of America. And it was covered in those. Every single one of them was 4 foot tall. And I was like, well, there they are. I finally found them. And they were definitely cool. But I just love how you can walk through any cemetery in America, or especially in Europe. Europe has some amazing cemeteries. And you can find just some cool stones and statues that you can try to model after and put your own spin on and stuff like that. But sometimes I went to Chicago a couple years ago and I walked around my whole point was to go and walk around their cemeteries during the day. And they had such cool statues in there. And one of them was he was called the Watcher. And he's on a slab and he's hunched over like this and he's got a stick and he's going towards a mausoleum. And but it's all in that patina. So it's all in that turquoise blue looking, and everything else in the cemetery is gray. You can see this thing from a mile away. It's literally 5.5 feet tall, whatever it is, but it's so blue or turquoise because it was obviously made out of copper. And I was like, I need to make those. So I made pretty much exact replicas of them with monster mud and all that. And then I learned how to do the patina by cheating. I went to Home Depot and had them tint the paint for me.
It worked
because I was like, I am not going to figure out how to make copper do that and all that kind of stuff. So I went and had paint made. But now I actually have a patina product that the 916 Rust guys came out with. And I bought that at Transworld this year. So I'm going to play with that because I'm making wrought iron gates and bars over the front of my house because it's all brick. And so making those rusty wouldn't show up. It would just blend into the brick. So I was like, no, they need to have that patina on there to really make them pop out. So I was like, now I have a reason to buy something. So now I get to actually make real patina. But
I learned, I think, everything I needed to know about set dressing for film from doing haunts growing up my whole life, because it's weird because when you build a scene in a haunt, people are walking through it. So you have to think a little differently, but building it in films, the actors are only in certain marks. They're not going to actually be in most of the scene. So what you get is a lot of the details, but only what the camera shows. So you have to figure out how to weathering, and none of this all has to be collapsible and movable every 5 seconds. You can't really, there's no permanency when in indie films. So I took what I learned about using different types of teas and coffees to stain certain things, and just stuff we did in doll rooms to make dolls look more antique. It's really cool, the kind of detail, like you said with the patina. There's all these little things that, unless you're people like us going through haunts and just appreciating all these details,
right,
you don't really get what goes into it. For these guys to have to make that product, it's because of enough people like us are going, how can I accomplish this, but quicker and more, efficiently?
Yeah. Because the patina on that statue, it was literally covered. You barely saw any dark, and really it was, I actually colored it in the patina first and then went over with a black dry brush because there was so little amount. But when you're doing real patina on things that, that have come over in, just naturally, that is way less covering. Obviously that specific statue is covered in it, but not most of the other stuff. It's drips, and it's the parts of it are that patina. And that's where their product comes in a little bit better than just paint. I would never have used their kit for that thing because I would have had to buy 10 of their kits. This, I was like, no, I have to paint this. And I actually made that colored monster mud. So instead of using the gray paint, I actually used that patina paint in the joint compound and then dunked the fabric in it. So I was like, this is way easier than painting it with a brush or a sprayer. I'll just dunk it in there.
That's awesome. Love that.
So it speaking of the monster mud, that's like, that was one of the things that I had really wanted to try. And when we made while I was in this crazy community in the beginning, we had a convention in Portland called the West Coast Hunters Convention, and a bunch of us would meet up there. We also had a camp out every year that was called Fright Fest Northwest, and so a bunch of us would meet there and we do make and takes all day and have a costume ball and stuff like that. It was just at this weird campground, and so we had a booth there for this Fright Fest Northwest, and then nobody showed up to man it. So me and several other haunters were like, well, why don't we just make like an association? Why don't we just make our own group? So we made our own group, and the biggest thing was make and takes. And we were like, we have to get people together to learn things from each other. And so we would do, tombstone making and things like that. And I had a friend in Gresham with me named Becky Newman, and she taught all of us to do monster mud. And it was like, I got the same feeling I did with that first scare. I was like, I don't have enough storage for what I'm going to make with this, because it was either that or pneumatics, and pneumatics, you need a lot more storage because the thing is huge,
Yeah.
It has all the extra parts to it and all that kind of stuff. And there's a lot of moving parts to pneumatics where I knew that I really liked the staticness of like a graveyard and things like that. And I knew that I could make a lot of statues and do use that technique on a lot of things. I had a lot of skeletons and things like that. And so it was nuts. I could not stop making stuff out of monster mud. And it was just, and so now I teach classes of how to do monster mud with people. And it's the DIY nature of this industry is what really, keeps me in it and really gets me excited, because of the fact that everybody shares everything. Kind of back to the Christmas stuff. I'm in several Christmas groups. They're silent until like December 15th. And then it's, look what I made. And then somebody goes, well, how'd you make that? How'd you do that? How'd you do that? I don't know. I don't know. It's on the internet somewhere. Zero sharing. Some of the younger people are getting into it a little bit, especially with the pixels and stuff like that. I know there's an actual haunter that does pixels as well. He does a big Christmas display and a big Halloween display, and he's actually working on that type of environment that he wants it to be a sharing type environment like ours. But like us, Pyle could put something up that he puts in his haunt, and I'm going to go, dude, how did you make that? And he's not going to sit there and go, I can't tell you, it's a trade secret. I'm not going to, there are plenty of pro hunters that will not tell you how they made things. And I get that, because they don't want another pro hunt to go make it, because it's proprietary to them, and it's eventually it will get out, but they want it to be cool for them for a while. Every haunt has that thing that they do that nobody else does and things like that. So I get that. But even a lot of the pro haunters now are of the type where they're going to share actors, they share props, they help each other build things.
Oh yeah.
And it's just, they see that that's just better. And it's better mentally, it's better financially, and it just creates a better community where you're not fighting. Nobody's better than anybody else. That's one of the biggest things with like us, the Chicago haunt builders, is that nobody is better. They just have a different talent. Nobody is not worth it. Like when somebody goes, well, I don't, I used to hear, because I ran, and I still do run the map for the Northwest Haunters Association. So I have, the Google Maps where I tell you where all the haunts are. And I have one down here in Texas as well. And I would have people say, well, I'm not good enough to be on the map. And I go, well, show me a picture of what you have. Full well knowing I'm going to tell them whatever they put, that they're absolutely worth it. And they would show me a picture, and it would usually be a lot cooler than they think it is, of course. And I'm like, it doesn't matter what you have. You're a haunter. As long as it's more than a pumpkin on your doorstep on Halloween night, you're a haunter. If it's Dollar Tree stuff, If it's something from, it's something your kid made out of paper mache or crepe paper or whatever, fine. That's awesome, because we all started there. We all started with something super simple. And now looking back on it, you're like, oh, that was terrible. But it led you to this. It led you to where you are now. And so I still to this day tell people that, like, no, you absolutely are worth it. You have amazing stuff, but here's something to help you with. Have you ever thought about this? Have you ever thought about this? The constructive criticism and showing them, hey, here's all these videos. Here's these people, that can help you like they helped me. And it's such a cool thing.
I think that's something that go ahead.
Well, finish yours and then I'll say mine.
Look, I think that's something that the customers need to understand as well. When you go through these haunts and you're like, oh, well, that one wasn't worth it, or just all the crazy things that customers will say. If they would just go in, instead of finding things to complain about, to find one or two things they saw that actually amazed them, that would help them look deeper into these scenes and this art and this community, and actually understand it before they start telling people these things. I get asked all the time, I'm not sure you do, and I know all of us do, oh, you went to that haunt, was it worth it? And my answer is always, absolutely it is worth it. This is what I love about this haunt.
Right.
It's crazy.
And even though that we're a small haunt, I mean, this is one of the scenes that we actually have.
Right.
I mean, there's a lot of detail to it that we do.
Absolutely.
And every single year, my dad changes it up. But we do have two videos that we want to play here.
Okay.
Yep, I'm going to present those real quick. Let me go here and share my screen and pick what I want to show if it'll let me. The window. You guys see this okay?
Oh, yes.
Now, let me know if you can hear it okay as well. Not sure if there's sound or not.
No, it should just be a slideshow.
The slideshow, okay.
I used it at the booth at West Coast to promote our haunt. There's our cardboard mausoleum. We actually made an axe-worthy ghost, and it fell on people on Halloween night. It worked up until Halloween night, and then fell on everybody. We had this big old wire that came down on everybody as they were walking. It was cool. It was a lot of work getting that thing up there. But there's skinny old me.
I love that. Actually,
we actually used it was belt material. It wasn't high test fishing line. It was belt material. My wife worked at a place that had a lot of belting, and so we cut it into they actually fused it together for us. And it worked for a while, and then we figured out we had to go to the high test fishing line. There's the guy. There's my moving head guy. We never named him either. We just moving head guy.
He's got a leg lamp.
Yep. Yeah, that was given to me. We had a lot of stuff just dropped off at our house, and I think that's happened to a lot of home hunters. You just have stuff dropped off your house. Hey, can you use this? Or just dropped off without knowing it.
We've had a skeleton dropped off, and we have no idea it is a medical skeleton.
Oh,
and we had no idea where it came from. It was busted apart a little bit, but we loved it, and we have it in the storage because we still don't know exactly where to put it correctly, and I think it's going to go near the hangman's noose.
Share the other one as well.
Yeah, they see leg.
Father-in-law.
And this one is that. So that the first one was 2008. So we kind of wanted to show like how far you guys have come since then. And this one you said was from 2022.
Yeah. You can see my video editing skills got a little better. Yeah, we actually I involved my daughter with stuff. She helped me make candles and corpsing skeletons. So I was teaching her how to do that, and I was making. I had seen this from a different vendor, and I was like, well, I'm going to make something just like it. I'm going to make with my own little spin on it, of course, and so I did a little wood bending and all that. And I love making candles and cemetery fences. They take a while to do it, but they're so worth it. If you have a home haunt cemetery and you don't have PVC candles and a cemetery fence, you got to get it. Just ties it all together. It creates a little barrier. But it's just candles don't always have to go on the ground. They can go on top. These guys, these guys are my favorite. I put them up next to the 12-foot skeleton now, and they just add so much. I put upshot foggers behind them, and they just look so cool.
That is painted black in the background, the music, right?
Yeah.
I know that song from when I was like, that's painted black. That's actually a really cool version of it.
I'm glad you can hear it. I can't.
I was a DJ for years, man. It'd be hard pressed to play a song that I won't recognize in any format.
Right,
no, I didn't hear any music. That's why I was saying that.
Oh, you guys can't hear the music?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, weird. Okay, well then I was over here turning it down because I thought it was being too loud over you guys. So my bad.
Yeah, no worries.
That's so strange. I think I know why. I bet you.
But yeah, we actually now the house we live in now, it's actually pitch black out here at night. There's no street lights, and so my yard is pitch black, which I thought was going to be cool. I have to light up so much more now. Like I have to have. I actually like having a street light now because I'm like it's so much darker. Like I have a pumpkin inflatable that's a standing pumpkin inflatable that I put a projection on. You can't see the pumpkin inflatable because it's not lit up. Just these random faces. If you ever find vegetable barrels or like these industrial barrels, preferably with something of like these had apple glycerin in it. But you take a jigsaw and you cut out these like shapes of pumpkin faces and you put an LED light in there and you can put a little hose behind it and put the fog in there and do the tombstone technique of the sponge painting on it. They look cool during the day and then at night they light up. And I've yet to find these I found for free, and I had a bunch of them that I could get for free, and so I haven't found any free here yet. So I'm gonna have to buy some, but they're so cool looking, especially when the fog comes out. I love that. People would come up on I had 4 of them on my driveway, and people would come up and take pictures with them and stuff like that. And, is such a cool.
Appreciate you telling me that so much.
It's just learning. The one with the flame is it's the flame from Spirit. They have those flame lights, and he's the mad pumpkin. Since I was moving, I knew we were moving for about a year. And so for this year was the last year that I wanted to build anything, but I was like, I need to get rid of all this wood. I had so much wood in my backyard. And I was like, I have all these like pieces of wood that I can't use for anything else. And I was like, I'm just going to make coffins. And I literally drug this old piece of wood out in the yard. I cut it all up. I nailed it all together with a nail gun and put those are half skeletons. And I just put them in there. And I was like, that's just perfect. It's just a perfect way to get rid of wood. And then I gave them away to people before I left.
Oh, yeah.
But I mean, it's like, the first one that we showed, it was hay bales and blow mold skeletons and cardboard and stuff. Right. And now I've got, foam tombstones with LED lighting and projections and monster mud figures and, the projection in the back there with the 2 green. It's the projectors in the front, the tombstones are in the back, and there's lights going on the tombstone, and then there's the scrim material going between the projector and the tombstones. So it looks like, of course, he's flying through the tombstones. And I learned that there was another haunt, and they're going to hate me for it. I forgot who did it. But I was like, I have to do that. And so we talked a lot back and forth about how the lighting needed to be. And like he had his lit from the side and like cross lit. And I was like, well, that's all fine and dandy. But behind my house is my neighbor's house and my house. There's nothing behind there. I didn't want to light up anything but the stones. Right. And so then I came up with this, and I'm going to do it this year. I have everything to do it. I didn't have time to do it this year when I moved in. So it's going to go up this year. And I got a perfect spot for it on my side yard. But I was always annoyed with the top. Like you could see the material, and I hated that because I had just enough street light in that area that it would still light it up a little bit. And I was like, man, it's going to look really cool here where it's pitch black where I'm going to put it. So
people underestimate scrim a lot. I think it's just for theater, or people just don't know about scrim. Yeah. I love that you were talking about it, man. That's a big thing in haunts.
Oh yeah. That is actually that's actually projection material from Atmos Effects, but on like Windows, whenever I rear project, I use the frosted shower curtain liners. And it hides the bulb shine. It hides it a lot more than like material, because the material you'll still be able to see through, and you'll see that you'll see that bulb glare. Yeah, I even just painted a tombstone white and just put a projection on it. Of course, the kids love the pumpkins. We had 2 sets of them on either side of the yard, and you actually walked through the cemetery to get to my front door, and then you exited on the driveway. And so we basically had 2 separate graveyards. And so on the other side, we had another set of pumpkins, and they were doing something different. They were, they didn't start together. Of course, you have to have a grave digger. So I had, he only had one eye by the time this was taken. That's what happens when you leave him outside in the rain. So there's those watchers. They weren't really, and of course on film, it doesn't show up as well as, but yeah, people loved walking up. I had a driveway alarm on this so that it would motion detect. I used the Harbor Freight motion detector. And if everybody, anybody that knows me knows that half of my haunt came out of a spirit dumpster. I got that out of a spirit dumpster, and it was ready to go. I just put a dummy on it like that, and I've gotten a fair share of cool stuff from the spirit dumpsters. Lots of skeletons and stuff like that. But yeah, my wife is the pumpkin carver. I don't do pumpkins. I'm not keen on sticking my hand in there and pulling all that crap out. It's just, I don't know. So that's her thing. Her and my daughter will do it. They'll sit there for hours and carve pumpkins and watch scary movies. And this was my attempt at a photo op, and it actually went really well. A lot of people would stand up next to it and take pictures. And if you look, speaking of scrim, if you look on the back, there's actually scrim material covering my garage door back there. And it was double layered so that it would hide everything. And years prior to that mausoleum was in front of it. And so many people would walk up to it and go like, is this the entrance to the haunt? And I was like, dude, I never even thought about that people would think it was in the garage and they had to enter through the mausoleum. And I was like, no, there's nothing back there. It's just a projector. It's just a mausoleum. They're like, oh man, that'd be cool. Oh, that was the year I had 3 pumpkin sets. And you can see that everything is wet. It's so wet. But I had a lot of, the house I'm in now has no trees, no nothing. So there's not a lot of definition, and I can't light up trees and make it spooky in the air anymore. But that just, it's a new challenge. Yeah, that's so wet. Everything is going from wet to 80 degrees on Halloween is quite the shock. But that's one of the reasons we moved here, is because I got sick of haunting and building things in the rain, or not being able to build because it was raining. You couldn't do monster mud until like July. I could do monster mud in February here. I could set it outside and it's dry in a couple hours. And it's so amazing that I can make stuff all year round and not have to worry about it raining for months. Right. And not being able to go outside and do things, my garage wasn't as big as the one I have now. My wife had some of her craft stuff in there, and my backyard had a patio, but when it got windy, the rain would go in on all sides of that. So I was stuck with generally not even working on anything for Halloween until like maybe late April and into May. That was always crunch time. But, things like this, where I had people walk through the cemetery and walk around and stuff, is just inspirational from other people, watching other people do their graveyards and their walk through haunts, and them saying, oh, I have them exit through the driveway instead of walking down the driveway and stuff like that. And, they're able to take pictures with these things. Nate Dingman, he's in Murfreesboro, Tennessee, and he does House of Hell. And it's a really cool home haunt. And several years ago, he started putting really with the 12-foot skeleton. He would put that out on his front, out in front of his garage, and he made a photo op. And it's he literally just put the skeleton out there, put some stuff around it, and noticed that people were taking pictures in front of it. And he's like, oh, like light bulb. And so now every year he changes up what's on there because he wants people to take pictures with it. And it's just, I mean, it that really inspired me to start making something to keep people, not so much keep them there because I wasn't getting any money for it or anything, but it was that they got more of an experience than just looking at a cemetery and going, cool, that was awesome, taking a few pictures, whatever. They were able to walk through the cemetery. It would take people forever to walk through it and it was only, I think, 150 feet to my house from the street, but they would stop the whole time and take pictures, and then they would go back and take selfies and everything, and then they would get around to the front, and then they take a picture with the skeleton and with the horses and whatever else. And I tried to make it interactive. I would put things out there that they could make go off and the kids could do and things like that. And it just as I these last couple years, I've gotten into the interactivity part of home haunting instead of it just being, yep, there it is. Like, you get to do things. You get to push the button to make the witch go. You get to, that's one of the big things I want to do is I want to start adding more push button things, so that you're causing the action in the yard. And it's something I'm going to do with the lab, is that there's not going to be a monster in the lab. We're just going to have an empty slab and a doctor, and you're going to be the monster. So you're going to stand on the slab and everybody can take pictures with this cool lab behind you so that, they have something to take home with them instead of just candy. They have an experience. They have something. Oh, we went to this really cool, place with this lab, and we got to push some buttons and bubbles came up out of the water and things like that. So, we made electricity go off behind us and things like that. So,
nice.
Pivoting from just doing a display, and it's because of what other people have done. They used a timer to do this, or a peekaboo controller to do this, and I'm like, I could do that, and I could, you start getting your own inspiration of what I can do, and it's just, thank God for YouTube.
Yeah, no kidding, man. I love seeing that though, like the slideshow from back in 2008. It shows your progression, like in your haunting experience, but also your production experience too. Because like, see, you were using Filmora then, like just your whole growth, man, from that to that was beautiful to see. I love that. Thank you for sharing that with us.
Yeah, me and Christopher actually did. We finally felt that we were experienced enough to give a class the last 2 years at the Texas Haunters Convention about home haunt videography. And one of the biggest things, we didn't even get through it the first year because there were lots of questions and there were lots of people that were engaged, and it was too much information for an hour. So we were asked back the next year to do 2 classes on separate days to split it up. And one of the biggest things that we harped on, and I spent like 3 days figuring it all out, was I actually in July, because it was July and I needed to do it because the convention was in July, is that I set up a time lapse of what things look like in your yard as the evening goes on. And we started at like 6 o'clock and we went all the way to 10 o'clock. And I showed them how you didn't see the LED lights. You didn't see the projections in the background. I had this whole little cemetery set up in front of my house. And it was like 5 stones and some lights and, all kinds of stuff. And as we got closer to 7:45, 8, 8:15, 9, it started all showing up. And I showed them, I said, I paused and I said, this right here is that dusk where it's just enough light and not enough light to, like it's that perfect time to hit it where you're going to see the detail of your static stuff and your inscriptions and things like that, but you also see the lighting and how it looks at night. And I always tell people, don't wait till October 31st to film your haunt. Go out on October 10th and do it. Go out several times and do it, and do it different days. I do daytime walkthroughs. I do nighttime walkthroughs. I've done tech ones where I'll say, this is how I wired this, and this is how I did this projection and things like that. But it was like, that was like my biggest thing with people is that, after you knew your equipment of what you were going to use, it was what time to film it. And there's so many, as a previous judge and you know, and the you know, the presenters of the Home Hunter Awards, we get so many videos that it's mostly black. And we can't see anything. And I know it's great. I know what you have is great. And it's like, but I can't see any of it because you're going through as a patron's going through. And I love that, but we can't see anything.
Right.
You know, and it's like, so if you were to go back an hour or two and do it, we could see all that stuff, and you get to have a lot of pride in it. You get it, you know, you get to have that memory as well of what you made, but everybody else gets stuff, and then people get inspiration from it. You know, I've watched so many of those videos, and I'm like, I'm making that. I'm going to find out how they made that because I want to make that.
Definitely.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, the education of this industry is just never ending. And I always tell people, if you would have told me 18 years ago that making a tombstone or making a guy that went back and forth would have led to all this stuff that I didn't know about myself. I didn't know I could make any of that stuff. I didn't know I was an artist like that. You know, I didn't know that I could make a tombstone or do monster mud or do film editing and, you know, and, you know, create a haunted house tour and an association and things like that. I would have never believed you. I'd have been like, you're nuts. That making a tombstone in your yard on Halloween. Okay. And it's just the push from everybody else has just, I mean, it's just a huge fostering, you know.
Well, every time I talk to you, there's just so much to you that I learn, and I'm glad I'm learning a lot more about you on here. But we do have to take a break. But I do want to remind everybody that we are absolutely sponsored by Wicked FX, and we are so excited to be sponsored by Wicked FX. And here pretty soon, they're going to get a commercial on here. We just ain't got it done yet. Two, yeah.
Yeah.
So right now, we just got to take a small little break, and then we'll come right back. So we'll see you guys right after the break.
Greetings and shabebans. We are the Retro Reductibus Cephala Podcast, a long-form bi-weekly show that celebrates all the things that made growing up awesome.
Well, that sounds good, but I don't know what all those words mean.
I think what Parasite Steve's trying to say is that on Retro Reductibus, we explore a range of retro goodness, from toys, video games, and movies, to cartoons, and even snacks and school lunches.
Oh. And we do it all with a positive spin, a slew of killer guests, and some very adult language.
And you know what else is cool?
No.
This crazy show is part of the Dorking Podcast Network with new episodes every Tentacle Tuesday.
What's that?
And if waiting 2 weeks for a new episode gives you a sad, know that we drop bonus episodes all the time, like the off-format Crow's Nest and an interview series we call The Brig.
You can listen to Retro Reductibus on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, or any app that's cool enough to carry the only show that celebrates all the things that make growing up awesome.
This is what happens when you watch
Chainer's Haunted Secrets.
only on the Owl Light Network and the Dorkening.
Dun, dun, dun. And welcome back. We're here with Troy, and Troy's got so much that he could talk about for hours and hours and hours. And, you know, unfortunately, usually we're about a 2-hour show.
Yeah.
So we're going to step and we're going to start talking to Troy about, well, we could go into the terror tours. or we could go into the home haunter awards. Which one would you like to start with?
We could probably talk about the home haunter awards. So a lot of people know. So we used to have 3 award shows. It was Dead with Dave, and there was the Home Haunter DVD collection, which was a weird name for a Home Haunter Awards, but and we had the Canadian Haunters Awards, and the Home Haunter DVD Awards, or the collection, was mainly started as that. It was literally a DVD, a set of DVDs that were made. The people who ran the Davis Graveyard used to produce it, and really until the copyright stuff decided to play a part in it, because they used to have a duplicator that would take the videos from YouTube and then turn them into DVDs. Well, and then they would sell them, and that was based just to cover the cost of the duplicating and stuff like that. They didn't make any money on it. And so the duplicator was like, hey, I can't do this anymore because YouTube is like, they're proprietary to YouTube. When you upload them, they're their property because you get to do it for free. And so it's kind of like, once they're on there and you're selling them, and there was a lot of iffiness. And so they said, we really can't duplicate those onto DVD anymore. And so I think the last year they did it, I think they actually did their own duplicating on a DVD duplicator itself.
Mm-hmm.
And then they just went along and just did it as they just did a playlist on YouTube. I was involved in that for a little while. I think I did judging one year, and I presented some awards one of the years. I think I produced one of the award shows. And I just got a bunch of haunter friends. I was like, well, I don't want to be in it. I'm going to have a bunch of my haunter friends do it. And so then I was asked to be a judge on the Dead with Dave Awards. And come to find out, that was then the last year of the Dead with Dave Awards. And completely different format. Like, it was silly, it was goofy. They did a really cool award show where they were down in Dave's basement, and they would Dave and his wife would just roast other haunters and stuff like that. And then they went into the award show, and it was really well put together, but also super not serious. But it was really cool to be like nominated and to do, and to win an award with that too. And so I was nominated one year, and I was a judge the next year. And then he told everybody that he wasn't going to do it anymore. And so about a year went by, and nothing really happened with it. The Canadians had their awards, which involved the US on some of the categories. And then I think that was then the last year of the DVD ones as well. And so me and Christopher kind of started talking, and we said, so like, do you think we should do like an award show? Like, I don't even remember how it came up, because me and Christopher come up with things all day long. We're just like, what about this? What about this? I mean, we're just like two little bunnies, just, and so we're like, what about if we just decide to do like an award show? Like, how would we do that? And we're like, well, we could kind of continue the Dead with Dave Awards. And so we actually asked Dave, we said, do you mind, and I had actually messaged Dave too. And I said, like, we want to kind of, like, if you don't want to do it anymore, why don't you have some of us that were judges or want to be involved with it? We can continue it for you, and you could be a bit part or something like that. You could film your thing and be done with it. You don't have to produce it anymore, because that was his big thing. And he also didn't like that there were people who would message him after the awards were over, upset that they didn't win or upset that they weren't nominated. And it got pretty bad for a while. There were people that were very mad at Dave, and he's like, I didn't judge your shit. I'm just the presenter, and the judges, they judged biasly, or unbiasedly. They judged based on the criteria I gave them. And he was just super disenchanted towards the end, because people were just being mean to him, and so me and Christopher kind of took that into consideration. We're like, well, if he got a lot of hate, you got Troy involved with this, you're going to get some hate probably. So we decided to talk about it, and he said, do whatever you want. You can have it. You can do whatever you want. And we said, well, obviously we're not going to call it the Dead with Dave Awards, because we don't, that's yours. You own it. That's your thing. That's your legacy. We would never imagine doing that unless you wanted us to continue it in that way. And he was just like, nope, it's all, you can do whatever you want. So we're like, all right, cool. Yeah, that's hyperfixation. I can't fixate on it. So we sat down and we figured out that we kind of wanted to do it very, very differently in that we took their judging sheet and said, okay, this is kind of weird and this doesn't fit anymore with how people are doing it, and let's simplify this, let's add this. And we came up with our categories, and we decided that we were going to just like do just kind of do a skit show and kind of have a theme going with it, and just like a storyline, and just, kind of just, and also involve a lot of our friends. And so we put the awards out there, and people, Christopher did an amazing job making a website out of scratch for it. He did a lot of the judging sheets, a lot of the Excel stuff. He's definitely the mastermind behind most of it. Me and him decided to trade off on who was going to produce the awards every year. So we do it together, but like I would do the editing this year and he would do the editing next year. And we always come up with a different theme behind the awards. But we took some categories out, we added some categories, and we've basically settled on that we have your best display, we have best walkthrough, we have best motorized, best static, and best pneumatic prop. Those are all three separate, because I think in Dead with Dave, it was just like best animated prop and best static prop. Well, a motorized prop is very different from a pneumatic prop. And it's very hard to judge those two together because they do two totally different actions, and they take a lot of different type of talents and creativity to do it. I cannot make a pneumatic prop. I mean, yes, if I really put my mind to it, I could. But I love making motorized things, and I love making static things. So we decided that we wanted to break all three of those up and see how it would do. And we also have best costume instead of like male and female costume or male and female actor. We don't have actor ones. And then we did best haunt cycled, which was Christopher's baby. He coined the phrase, to, as far as I know, nobody else has ever came up with it before him, that it's literally garbage on the side of the road or something you were going to throw away, and you made it into a prop. And it could be something, it could be a jar and a mug and some twine, total MacGyver type stuff. And you made a cool prop with it, whether it was static, whatever. And so we that was not even a question that was going to be one of the categories. And then we had best overall. And so we have a little bit different way of judging it in that, we asked people, what are your overall thoughts and things like that. But we also went with, how well does the piece fit into their haunt, and, kind of a little bit easier way to judge instead of just saying, well, is this cool or not? Like there's a little more specifics of how we want it to look, or what you're supposed to be judging by. And, we've had different judges every year. We never had the same judges twice, except for Sandy Schneider, who is also part of our group, because Halloween Yard Haunts and Props is what is sponsoring it, because Christopher, Lisa Renee, Christopher, and Sandy, and then me eventually run that Facebook group. And so we use that Facebook group as the bouncing off point for the awards. And so we had a bunch of judges set up, and we had people send in their videos. And one of the coolest things happened. A bunch of people that I didn't know won awards, like first time entering an award show. And I was like, this is the coolest thing, because one of the complaints of the other three awards is that the same people will win every year, or the same set of people. And they even tried to change that by having veteran awards and Vanguard awards and things like that. But then those veteran awards were only like 5 or 6 people, and they pretty much, one of them would win every year. And people were like not willing to put their stuff in because they thought, well, I'm not as good as that to myself, and so I think that I'm not going to win because these people win every year. Or they'll change category. One year they'll win display, and the next year they'll win the animated prop. And so it kind of got disenfranchised that people didn't want to do it. And so even now, I just read the winners of this year's awards, And I had to go look up several of them. I was like, I've never seen your stuff before. Watch their videos, and I'm like, where have you been? Like, you've just been lurking in the shadows with this amazing home hunter, this amazing prop talent that you had. And we're going to have several people who have never won awards once again. We're like in our 5th year, I think, now. And I'm like, it is so cool that we're able to give awards to people based on the fact that they're creating awesome stuff and people feel like they have a chance every year, even though they might think, oh, this isn't going to win or whatever. And then it does. Almost all of our winners are very surprised that they win. And we do have a couple of repeat winners now because they're amazing people. But one of the things we do is once you've won a category, you can't even enter that category the next year. And sometimes we make it where now you're a judge. Now you can't enter at all. So it automatically gives people the opportunity to win that category next year because the person that won it is completely out. There's no veteran category or anything because we haven't had enough shows yet to do that. And we may never do it. We've kind of bounced it back and forth of whether or not we're even going to do it. We might start going along and saying, okay, well, you've won 3 or 4 years now. You've won awards. You don't get to enter at all next year for anything, just to give everybody else a shot and to kind of, to keep people entering. But the fact that we have yet again a bunch of new people, everybody tells us it's so cool because we know we have a chance. And we know we're going to be, like nominated, and we put as best I can, we put every submission is in the show. So we do a thing in the beginning or sometimes at the end, we do a big clip thing, and it's every single submission. There is the 3 to 5 second thing of your prop, your display, whatever in there. And we've had people message us, be like, I saw my thing in the beginning. And I'm like, that is so cool that you're like, I mean, I love that they're excited about that. I was just as excited when I saw mine in the Dead with Dave Awards, even before I was nominated. And there's a story. When I was nominated, I was at Troy Franz's house, Halloween Hellmouth. And it was me and Jim and my wife and Troy, and we were all standing around and we were watching the Dead with Dave Awards. And I was nominated, and I was jumping up and down. I was like, I was nominated for an award. I can't believe this. This is so cool. And I was just super giddy. And then I didn't win, but that's okay. It was so cool to be nominated for something like that from my peers. And I totally get now when people say, like, when they win awards for like movies and TV shows and stuff, they're like, it's so great to be nominated by my peers, I actually got to interview a couple of weeks ago on the Haunt Hour show, Bartley Busey, who is watching right now, I think still. He beat me last year in the Static Prop Award for the Canadian Awards. And I'm super not bitter about it. His prop was an amazing, really cool 3D printed and designed and all that kind of stuff. It was an old timey radio that really worked and all that kind of stuff. Super, super cool. But it was cool that, like, once again, I was super excited that I was nominated, and I'm obviously he was the better, the better prop. And I just love that we're able to joke about it. We're able to talk about it, and stuff like that. And it's he's not bitter either. Shut up. Of course you're not bitter because you have the trophy. My trophy is empty, Bartley. My trophy is the fact that I get to see everybody happy. That's my trophy. But we've every year, me and Christopher come up with a new theme and a new way to present the awards. Usually there's always a storyline, and for the last several years we've had the storyline that somebody is trying to stop our show. And I'd have to pay customs on that, won't I? Because he's up in Canada up there. He's a Canadian haunter. And there's a person trying to stop us. And one of the original ideas was we wanted Dave years later to be the guy who's been trying to stop us from doing the show. And he's like, you guys ruined it. You guys are you're jackasses, and you're making a mockery of this. You guys are doing silly skits and whatever, and it's terrible. And I want it back, and we've asked Dave several times to come on the show and be the bad guy or even just be a bit part. And he's like, nope, I'm done. And I'm like, all right, that's fine. So we do have a villain. And this year the villain is really upset. So last year the villain turned us into puppets. And actually there's literally a puppet of me. And it is, I mean, I don't know how much more accurate you can get. We had a lady off of Etsy make me and Christopher puppets, and it was way more than we could imagine that they were that close to what we look like.
Do we want to show the video?
Oh yeah, we do have a video of us.
We're gonna get this thing on. We may have to pull the screen back a little bit, but wait, why are you so close to me?
I'm trying to stay in frame.
It says 6 feet, sir. 6 feet.
6 feet.
Okay, now that's better. Yeah, like I can smell you over here. Terrible. Oh wait, that was me.
Ew. Go away.
This is like an episode of South Park now. We're Canadians. Alright, so now what I'll do very quickly. We're gonna get.
We had never like we didn't know, like we were like trying to figure out how to make it where we could do the green screen, and because it looks like an award show, like we did the curtains and all kinds of stuff, and we had a TV screen that came down because Filmora is amazing. Yes, Christopher, we were puppets for a while. I don't feel good. Barley, it's gonna be probably end of July. Don't quote us on that, but end of July, beginning of August. Because we got a lot of production to do. We just got all of our presenters and they're getting their scripts tomorrow. So we had to learn green screen. We had to learn. I still can't talk with the puppet. He's way better at that puppet than I am. Because if you notice, when I wasn't talking, I was still moving the mouth. Because I never learned how to be a puppeteer, and it was like, so we're just gonna wing this, but that's also part of the silliness of it. It wasn't. Nobody should ever take me and Christopher seriously at all, especially not me seriously. So of course we don't want our show to be taken seriously either. But we always add in all of our friends and people that even people that have never been on camera before and were like shy and they're like, I don't want to do this, and then they would come on, they'd be presenters and things like that. Last year we had David Gentry from Ghost Manor in New Orleans, and he's an amazing haunter. And he calls me up and he goes, so I've been making this skeleton that is like completely animatronic by itself. Like I program it to say things and move and all this kind of stuff in a computer, and then it does it for me. It's 100% a giant puppet that is not puppeted. And so he said, can I use that on the show? I'm not going to, like, it's going to be in my show at the, for Halloween, but I wanted it to be, this is going to push me to do it and get it done. And he comes on and just absolutely steals the show. I mean, there's comedy with it. He's cracking jokes. And then David is standing over next to him and the skeleton's over here, and he's making jokes and talking and doing all kinds of stuff. And it's just the amount of work that went into, to do that. And we're like, we just asked you to read who the winners were, and you're bringing out this giant animatronic skeleton. And it's just,
love it.
It's just so cool that people were like, they wanted to showcase their talent on there. And that's all it is. It's just a talent show. It's not even an award show. Sure, we hand out awards, but it's literally a talent show because we tell people when they're presenters, we say, here's the few phrases we need you to say, like, and the nominees are, and here's the winner of this category. But we always say the creativity is yours. Sure, we'd love it to be Halloween looking, like if there's a Halloween backdrop, something. Go to a spooky forest, go to a cemetery, something like that. But we're not going to tell you what to do. You go do whatever you feel you want to do to present this award in your talent level and whatever your creativity, because us telling you what to do takes that away, and that's not haunters, that's not home haunters. We do it our own way. And so me and Christopher both said we will never tell them what to do. Last year we did have to tell them to do a few certain things with their phrases because of what we were saying with the puppets and what they were going to say. It had to work together, it had to mesh. And so once they were done with their skits, we then reacted to their videos because they were on a TV screen because they couldn't be there in person. So they were on a TV screen between us. And so we were reacting to them, but we filmed it months after they filmed theirs. That was quite the production. But I know, Raz can attest to this, that when you need to do something in a video editing, and for us it's Filmora, it's the coolest thing to go, well, I need to learn this green screen stuff. I need to learn how to drop a TV down from the top of the screen and then have something play in it and know the layering and all that kind of stuff. And it has taught me so many things that I actually want to do harder things so that I'm learning how to do it on that program. And that's the same thing with haunting. I want to know how to do Monster Hunt. I want to know how to do this and this and this. So I'm going to find a reason to then go do it, and it's like, I want to make this prop. Well, I'm going to do that. And so we did that with the show. We're like, we always wanted to do, push ourselves and try to do something cool. And so we have several years of shows that we have ideas for. And one of them is going to be very, very cool if we can pull it off. But that's also why it takes so long to come out. And I know nobody's sitting there going, well, we want it to come out in April or March. One of the things that we've heard is that because we don't bring it out till July or August, it's super fresh in people's minds of why they won, who won, and they can go back and look. And we always tell people, use that as your challenge, that, well, mine didn't win. We'll go back and watch the winners' videos because we always put them in the playlist on our YouTube page. And go back and watch the winners and nominees because we put them all in that thing. And now we've actually put all the videos. So if you submitted a video for on YouTube, we put it all in the playlist now. So everybody's video's in there. But we also have a separate one that's just for the winners and nominations. And so go back and look at the winner and go, oh, that's why they won. That's, it's because of how they filmed this, how they showed this. Sometimes walkthroughs. Some people will never get to that level. Some people will go past that level, and it's great to aspire to that. It's great to challenge yourself to that because that's what you should do. You shouldn't ever be complacent with what you have. You always want to do something a little bit better, something a little cool. And that's what these award shows can do, is that they can be like, oh, I want to learn how to do that, or I can do that. And then with new people winning, it shows that new people could win, with us bringing it out in July or August is really us pushing it. We work a lot at the end of July to get it all done. He's going to be here in July to go to the convention. So we'll film a bunch of parts that we need to do. We'll film it here before we go to the convention, and our presenters are filming their stuff now. And so they get their stuff into us, and it's a big giant group effort. To get it done. And we asked for presenters this year. Usually we ask ourselves. We will go out and find people and individually message them. This year we put out a call and we said, hey, if you want to present an award, tell us why, or just send us a message and we're going to pick people. And this year it is all brand new people, except for we've decided that the best overall, you get to hand the crown to the next best overall winner. So kind of like the pageants, the pageant girl from last year has to give her the crown to the new girl. That's what we're going to do. So Ken and Lilia from On More Manor up in Canada will be presenting the best overall award to the new winner. And so every year, hopefully, as long as people want to do it, that's what we're going to do for best overall. They will present the next year's awards. But we generally want to have new people do it every year so that everybody kind of gets a chance to be featured on it. And, so it's been fun. Yeah, we have that's my friend Byron Oler in St. Helens, Oregon, home of Halloween Town. He actually hand makes these. He sculpted them, crafted them, and then puts them in a mold and then paints them all, and then has another lady do the plaque. And they are home haunter made for home haunters. And I love what he does with them. So it brings it full circle. We're not buying it. Well, there's that. There's those crazy kids. So I decided that I didn't have enough to do. So me and Jim Erickson decided that we wanted to get home. I don't know why I do all these things. Oh yeah, it was your son. Your son did draw those, and then Byron made them off of that. Byron didn't create them in that way. He did it off the sketch from his son there. I just love home haunters so much that I was like, we all go out and do things separately. And I didn't like that. I was like, I didn't like that. I would be like, hey, I'm going to a haunted house. And I would just go to a haunted house. And then somebody would be like, oh, I would have went with you if I would have known. And I was like, well, okay, yeah, we don't do things together. Like, we'll go to each other's home haunts and look at things and stuff like that. But we wouldn't go out to the pro haunts and we wouldn't go see those. And everybody kept saying, oh, I'm super busy. I'm building. I'm super busy. I can't go out. And, it was just, there was always an excuse. And so me and Jim got together and we said, well, what if we get a bus like the conventions do, but we'll do it in October. And Jim was like, well, let's do it. So we literally put it out on Northwest. The first year it was just in the Northwest Haunters Association. It wasn't publicly notified or anything. It was just in that association. And we said, hey, you're a haunter. I'm a haunter. You're my friend. I want to go see haunted houses with you, and let's do it together. And so we contacted a couple of haunts and we said, hey, would you give us a couple dollars off your ticket? Maybe give us VIP access instead of a regular, thing, so we can get to the next haunt. We're going to come by with a bus and we're going to go see your haunt. A bunch of haunters are going to come see your haunt, and then we'll go on to the next haunt. And that first year I think we probably had 30 people on it. They were all haunters, everybody that we knew. They came from all over the place. The first night was in Portland. No, the first night was in Seattle. We went to Seattle and we saw 3 haunts that night. And then the next night we all went down to Portland. Well, I went back to Portland, but a bunch of people came down from Seattle and a bunch of people came from Portland to go to that one too. And we all went to 3 haunted houses that night. And so we kind of looked, me and Jim talked about it after that. And we said, well, we could probably make this like a thing, like just do it every year and make it a company. And so we decided to just start this thing. And we actually, one of the things with Northwest Haunters Association is we put out a call and said, you need to make us a logo. Like, haunters need to submit a logo for your association. And we did the same thing with the Terror Tours. We said, we need a logo. And if yours is chosen, then you get free tickets to go on the tour. Full well thinking it was going to be somebody local. I was like, well, I mean, I can give you tickets. That's a cool incentive to go see haunted houses with us, and you don't have to pay for it. And so we had several people, submit things. Grant McDonald submitted a really cool one that we used for different types of our marketing. And but Alyssa Schiappani that's the Northwest Haunters logo. That was made by I forget his name now. It's been years since I've talked to him. That's sad. I'm sorry. But he was a North Seattle haunter, and he made that design. And so every time we put it on a new thing, I always sent him a new one, and I sent him whatever it was. So he has about as large of collection of Northwest Haunter stuff as I do. And so we put it on those signs too, and we can go back to that sign in a little bit. But with the tours, we did that. And Alyssa Schiappani I think she's in the East Coast. She just came up with this cool saw blade with a skull in it. It's at Northwest Terror Tours. Super easy, simple design. And and she's like, well, I don't live there, and I'm not going to come over to Oregon to see haunted houses because I'm working a haunted house and I'm not going to be able to do that. So she's like, just give it to somebody else. So we just kind of, we did a people submitted online, and we did a name in the jar thing. So we have the logo now. We have our plan in place, and the first couple years we literally did it through, I think we did a very basic website. We did it through PayPal, a PayPal button, and just took payments that way, and paid for the bus, and paid, we got a hotel discount. I called up hotels, and I learned a lot. And I'm still learning, today. We've been doing it since 2016. And we did a bunch of years in Seattle and Portland, and then we started doing just in Seattle and just in Portland. So we do 1 year in Seattle and the next year in Portland. And then I decided to move. And so we decided to start it in Dallas, Texas. And we did 1 year in Seattle, we did 1 weekend in Seattle, and then a week later we did it in Dallas. And that was quite the experience, trying to get back and forth, because we started having companies that, haunt vendors that wanted to donate stuff. They wanted to put, prizes into swag bags. And so that's where our tour is different than all the rest, because we give out swag bags full of prizes. And it's, it's vendor swag, or it's our swag that they bought. Like, we have keychains, we have stress coffins and things like that. But it's also, we have a golden ticket that we put in every bag, in random bags. And that golden ticket is usually, like, Fright Props gives us gift certificates. We've had fog machines. We've had costumes from different companies. We've had masks and all kinds of stuff. So we put these golden tickets in there. And as we're driving to the longest drive haunt, and we will do our golden ticket giveaway, and we walk up and down the bus row, and everybody goes, I got this, and I won this. And everybody's super excited. And of course, vendors are like, oh, they get to see our product, and then we do a video of it, and the vendors get to see that we're, so I got to learn about sponsorships, and about asking for sponsorships, and, asking bus companies for discounts, and asking, hotels for discounts, so that I could make it cheap. Because my whole thing was, again, back to being cheap, is that there are other haunt tours out there that are a little more expensive. Legendary Haunt Tour is almost, I think it's like $400, $400 or $500. And that's a little bit out of my range, And so I was like, okay, I'm trying to get this out to, he's a sponsor of Terror Tours too. He gives Skittles and scare horns and things like that. Sorry, Thrifty. Bartley corrected me. That we wanted to make the tours economical, because home hunters, we're all budget friendly or fearful. And we need to make sure that we are looking at all of our money, and a lot of our money goes into building our home haunts. And so maybe you don't have enough money to go to a pro haunt throughout the year, because it's, it's 30, 40, $50 to go in. And so we just kind of moved with that in mind, was that we were always going to keep it economical. And to this day, we've been doing it since 16. So I think we're eight or 9 or 10 years, whatever, 8 years. We have never taken a dime from it. Sure, I've taken a shirt, I've taken a swag from a company or something like that as a thank you. My thank you is that we do get to go through the haunts for free, and be on the bus for free. I've had to pay for my hotel. We've had to pay for flights. So this is not a profit thing. This is not us trying to make money off of haunters or anything like that. We wanted to go to haunted houses with our friends and keep it as economical as we could. And we still, to this day, like, Jim gets mad at me all the time, because he's like, we need to, because we sit there at the beginning of every year and we're like, okay, we got this bus company and they want $1,000. We don't have $1,000 yet, because we didn't make any money last year. We literally paid the haunts, we paid the buses, and that's it, So we're always kind of like waiting for money. But in the end, we have Froggy's Frog is a great sponsor of ours. They're our presenting sponsor. And so they provide a little economic support for us. And we usually have a bus sponsor, and that lowers the price that money that they give us goes right into the bus. Like, they send it to us, we send it to the bus company, because that lowers my price that I charge. because I'll divide up how many people are going to be on the bus, how much the haunts are, and how much the bus costs. And then that's how I get my overall price. And so I'm like, all right, well, we obviously have to pay for me and Jim to go to the haunts and whatever. And so we add that in, and that's where the price comes from. And we've generally kept it, the haunt prices have gone up. And that's our big thing, is that we will call the haunt and we'll say, what do you want to charge us? And what do they get for it? And they're like, you're not going to tell me what I should charge or what I should give you off. And I'm like, no, I don't run your business. Why should I tell you what you need to give us? I go, some have given us really cheap tickets. Some of them have given us $10 off. They've given us different deals or whatever. And I'm like, so I'm not going to tell you what to do. That's not my place. I'm telling you what I'm going to provide you, a little bit of marketing, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. You tell me what that's worth to you. And so most haunts will give us like $20 off, or they'll give us our group rate, but then they give us VIP access because they know we have to get to the next haunt. And so, the VIP thing doesn't cost them $1. It doesn't cost them anything to do that. But they make a little bit of money, and we also come in the beginning of the season. We don't go in the middle. We don't go in the end. We go in the beginning, because especially with the Northwest, there were a lot of haunts that wouldn't get hardly anybody that first weekend in October, because people still aren't thinking haunted houses that first week of October. The commercials have to start. The Great Pumpkin has to come out with Charlie Brown before people really start thinking, oh, Halloween, I gotta, Spirit has to open for them to go haunted houses, And so we thought, well, let's bring a bus to them in the beginning of the year instead of in the middle, and be in the way. To me, you bring a busload of people that you're trying to, be a little more special to, you're bringing that in on like the 20th of October. That to me is rude, so we bring it in the beginning of the year. So like I've told haunts, I say, you can lie. You can say, this bus just randomly showed up with all these people and they wanted to see our haunted house. I go, I don't care what you use us for. If it helps you on marketing and stuff like that, take a picture of our bus, take a picture of us in there, whatever. Be like, this is so cool. This many people wanted to come to our haunt in the beginning of October. And so everybody has just really liked that aspect of it. We have a lot of great friends in the haunt industry now. A lot of the owners love us, and they love that we do what we say. When we say, hey, we're going to do this, and this for you, especially with our sponsors too, we say, this is what you get for it. This is how many times we're going to post for you. And we stick to that. And that's something that I learned really, really early on, is that you can ruin a relationship with a haunt or a sponsor if you don't follow through with your end of the bargain. And I don't even care if they don't follow, like generally they follow through with theirs because they're giving us product or whatever. But we've really prided ourselves on that we keep our word. And we have so many return sponsors because of that, because we just respect them, and they respect us, and it all works out. I
have a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
So when are you coming to Ohio, man? Because we start in early to mid September. We don't wait for October in Ohio. We start earlier than everybody else, and a lot of us, our haunt included, are one of the few that actually go into November.
Mm-hmm.
There's actually not many that do, but I miss out on everything because we start early and we end early, so I don't get to.
Oh, right.
I'm just there. But when are you coming out here, man?
Well, we will never do November, because that's when Legendary Haunt Tour is, and I'm really friends with the owners of Legendary and Transworld and stuff like that. And to me, that's disrespectful to
definitely
over theirs. We actually even had an agreement with the East Coast Haunters Convention this year. They're a sponsor of the tours, and I'm a sponsor of theirs. And we talked about it because I said some of the haunts that are going to be on my Philadelphia tour, because we have expanded to Philadelphia and Pennsylvania, some of those are probably going to be on your pre-convention tour. So there is no reason for me to sell tickets to an event that is in October, starting in February or March, while you're trying to sell tickets to your tour that is in April at those possible same haunts. And I said, so there's no reason for me to try to undercut you when we're all trying to work together to give people as much access to haunted houses as they can. And it's just another one of those things where it's like we're all working together to benefit all. And so she was like, oh, I was going to tell you you could do whatever you want, but that's really nice of you. And I said, it wasn't even a second thought to do that because Why would I do that? Because you're not. I mean, she's selling tickets to Legendary. Absolutely, Legendary is in Ohio this year. You know, so obviously, I'm not going to be in Ohio.
I might be already looking it up. Just putting it out there.
Just say you should be. You should be. There's some amazing haunts on there. So it Ohio. The only problem for us, and it's I will tell you this: it's not a no. No region is out. Well, okay, Chicago's out because Chicago they have some amazing haunts. Their buses are very expensive. Very expensive. So normally when they do bus tours up there, it's with a school bus, and we don't do school buses. We do big charter buses. And so I'm like, there's no way we're not gonna. I am not gonna bring us down to. Shut up, Christopher. We're never gonna go down to school buses. But we, Ohio's kind of weird because we wouldn't know where. Like, there's enough in each one of the 3 major cities to do it. But I think that it's been done by other things. It's, it was on, several of the haunts were on the MHC tours over the years. And now it's on Legendary, where which I can say that about Philadelphia now because East Coast Haunters Convention is there. They're going to do the haunts around there a lot too.
Oh yeah. Right.
It's definitely something that's on our list. I have the next 6 years planned out of where we're going. And it's also a spreading myself thin type of thing because I'm always going to be here in Texas. So we're always going to do one in Texas. But we will eventually move around a little bit. So no place is safe from me.
Well, if you ever get out here and you need someone to do some groundwork, man, I got you.
That is one of the coolest things that I've found is that I because I've only been to Carnage and Haunted Hoochie out there. I have not been to any other Ohio.
Yeah, and that's the weird thing about it. Columbus only has 2 or 3.
Right.
The most haunts are not in the big cities in Ohio. They're actually at your destination, like Dayton. Like they're in your destination cities that are cities between the bigger stops.
Which kind of makes it harder for us because we have people that come in from all over the country. Where do we host? What city do we host in? Because I need to be able to get to an airport. Usually our hotel is right near the airport, so people don't have to pay for an Uber or anything else. They get a free shuttle to the hotel. And I always pick a hotel with free breakfast because again, I'm thrifty. And so that's where because we've talked about Ohio before, and I think that was kind of the hard thing is that we could go and say, see, thrifty again. He's right there.
So what you need is a place like Dayton, who has an international airport, and it's a city stop in between all of the other major cities.
See, there you go. See,
I got you.
That's what we found with the Philadelphia area. Is there's another podcaster, Jared, who does Halloween 365, and he when I started talking to people in that area about it, he popped up. He had us on our show last year, and he has been a wealth of knowledge. Him and Chris Roosh Dozer, they've both been amazing help in what about this haunt and have you been to this haunt? One of the haunts we have on the Philadelphia tour is called Devil's Last Laugh. I never heard of it before, never seen anything about it, but I watched a review that Jared did of it, and I read some Google reviews of it. And they said, you drive up to this guy's house, there's a barn in the back, and he's got a terrible cemetery in the front. Like it's Dollar Tree Cemetery in the front. Okay. And you're paying money to go in this place. So you're walking up to this place going, what am I getting myself into? This is why did I pay for this? Then you go into the haunt, and every review said we were blown away by what was inside. And I'm like, as soon as I saw that and I saw Jared's review, I was like, because he did a video review of it, and I was like, I have to have this on our tour, because the cool thing about our tour is we don't have just the big dogs. We went into a home haunt in the guy's house in Salem, Oregon. We drove a bus, a 56 passenger charter bus down this neighborhood street, parked it in front of his house, and saw his home haunt, and went into his house. Because he decorated the whole inside of his house too. And everybody on that tour said that was the highlight of the show. Because they got to see something that no other haunt tour has ever done. And so we don't want to sit there and say it goes back to my nobody's less than. So I've got this haunt that's in this guy's backyard, basically. in a barn. And it's right after we get to go to Waldorf, which is where Hell House was filmed. So you get to go to this well-known establishment, this well-known movie thing, and then you get to go to this guy's backyard. We got to go to Penhurst Asylum, and then this guy's backyard. And it's like, so we always try to look at what haunts are on our tour that make it so you see all different types of haunts. And I love it because I am marking off haunts off my bucket list like you wouldn't believe. And it's like, and a lot of times, this is the first time I've seen those haunts as well. Like when I go to Pennsylvania, for our tours there, I went through Penhurst, but all the rest of the haunts on our tour, I didn't go through. So I will get to see them for the first time right with everybody else.
You should check out a place in Ohio. It's right next to it. It's called Huber Heights, Ohio. They actually have the Home Haunters Association as well. It's just for the city. They have interactive maps of like online, like with directions of all the different haunts that you can go to. Like they have the awards set up. Their actual one of their top haunters is who we actually got to do all our like effects and like a lot of stuff in our haunt, man. I'm telling you, like I know you say the difference between home and pro. Man, to me, growing up, doing this for 30 years, I don't see a distinction between, honestly, pro and home because I've seen both sides mix in with each other so thoroughly. It's like, it took me a minute when we were talking, like, because you were doing the distinction. I know a lot of people do, but in my brain, it was just like, man, we all were.
Oh, yeah. When I say pro, I absolutely don't mean that you're professional because I've been to some pro haunts that are garbage. And I've been to some home haunts that blow pro haunts away. So it's just an easier way to say for profit. So
you're right. Yeah,
if I say pro haunt, I mean it's for profit. You are paying to go in. Versus, even if a home haunt has a donation thing, or they have, they want cash donations, or they want food, that's still not a pro haunt for me. Mike Ross, who you had on a couple of weeks ago, his is considered a pro haunt, even though it's at his home. And he's asked at that before for like the awards. He's like, well, can we enter? And I'm like, no, because you are a professional haunt. You pay, you buy things, would you have it if you weren't getting paid to put it on? And he goes, no, probably not. And I said, that's where the distinction comes in, is that even if it's a forced donation, which is, I love how some home haunts like to do that. It's like, well, you have to pay us a $5 donation to get in. That you can't say that in one sentence. That's not the same thing. A donation is an option. But if you pay, you are a pro haunt. But yeah, no, I have absolutely seen, and I've been told that of my walkthroughs. Oh, you're way better than that pro haunt down the street down there. Which is, it's a cool thing. And there's tons of home haunters that have heard that. And I think the biggest thing with it, and it goes with going into that guy's home haunt with the bus, is that people know what to expect in a haunted house. They know what they're going to get. They know they're going to get a drop panel. They know they're going to get a chainsaw. They know they're going to get a butcher shop. They know they're going to get clowns. They kind of know what to expect. You go to somebody's house, you have no idea that they have these pneumatic cylinders doing things. You've got cool lighting effects and projections, and you've got things, walls that are moving. I went to a home haunt in Oregon that was in their 2-car garage, and as you walked through the maze in their garage, they moved walls so that you went back over where you just were, but it was a totally different thing because they moved the wall over while you were in there. I was like, that is the most nuttiest thing. They had an elevator in there, all kinds of stuff. And I'm like, in a little 2-car garage. And
I saw a whole haunt built that way. It was a small, empty warehouse, and the entire haunt was only 10 actors with a series of movable haunts. And you would pay $15 to go through this place. And never once did you see physically the walls move because they'd distract you.
Right.
And then rebuild it behind you, and you turn around, and it's a different path. You're like, when did that even happen? Because they'd bring the fabric down, so like you were stuck at a dead end, and then a whole other haunt was just built before your eyes. It's like, what the hell is going on?
Right? That is so cool. We are a damn creative bunch, aren't we?
Right.
That's for sure.
Friday, did you have something?
I just wanted to find out, you said that you have made multiple cemeteries and walked through others. Did you have a favorite cemetery walkthrough experience at a home haunt?
Let's see.
And you can include yours.
No, because mine is for everybody else. Yes,
I like the way you just said that.
Yes, I make it for me, but let's be honest. I love having people go through, and I build it so that my neighbors can experience it, so that city, the kids can come by. I'm always nitpicking myself, but I've been to so many home haunts. I would have to just say, I will say this. Chicago. The entire city of Chicago has some of the coolest home haunts I have ever seen. They have pneumatic things coming out at you. They've got laser beams. You trip that, so you cross over a laser beam and it trips it, trips the act, and the animatronic and stuff. There are some amazing home haunts over there that, Jim Slanker runs Canyon Street Cemetery, one of the coolest ones out there. I've been to Haunt 31. I've been to when I went to Chicago a couple years ago with my friend Tristan, we literally went to 40 home haunts in 3 nights. And on top of it, we went to Pro Haunts too, because of, like you were saying about the Ohio haunters with their map. The Chicago haunters have that. Northwest has it. Texas is getting one. And SoCal has one down there in California. And we were able to use that map to literally go from block to block to block. And like in Chicago, you can absolutely see like 30 or 40 home haunts in a weekend and not feel tired. And literally you're going around different neighborhoods and there's 10 of them in there. And I got to go last year. I got to go to the haunt. Do you remember the one that did what's the girl from Stranger Things that was floating? What's her name? Max.
Yeah,
Max. Yeah, yep.
She's up there and she's floating, and they did that viral TikTok video of her floating, and nobody could figure out how she was doing it and stuff. My friend Kevin drove me over there, and I totally forgot they lived in Chicago. I didn't even actually realize it. He drives me up to it. And he's like, "There you go, Troy." And I step out, and she's up there on the wire, and I'm like, "Oh my God, I'm actually here. Like, this is so cool." And I was like, I was just geeking out at this thing. That it's so much cooler in person. And they weren't home, unfortunately, because I would have been like, you're never gonna get rid of me. If they were home, it was better that they were not home. Because I would have it would have been a 2-hour conversation with them. I will do like I do with Pro Haunts. I will absolutely find something I love in every single home haunt I go to. But with cemetery specifically, there's not a lot that do just cemetery. Like, and I even have to say that about myself, because I added the animatronic witch. I've got the 12-foot skeleton. There's really not anybody, the Davis Graveyard people, they've always done a great, full-on theme where there's nothing really extra in it. They have very low effects and things like that. And it's a fantastic specimen of a graveyard. And I think, there are people out there who will do it. And like, I was always wondering why people lit up cemeteries in multicolor. Like I was always like, and I like it. And, I don't think it's terrible. I've just always done the warm, soft, the warm white light, just this, almost like the moonlight's coming down or the street light is on it a little bit. Because if you go in a cemetery, there's no lights in the cemetery,
True.
Especially at night.
I like that better.
Yeah. Sometimes they'll have pathway lights, they'll have the, the street lights that are going through the path in there. But generally you're not supposed to be in a graveyard at night unless you're weird like us. And
we have a couple around here that are actually open for nighttime where you're actually allowed to go in at night as long as you're respectful. And they'll have a little bit of a patrol, but they've got cameras and stuff.
Yeah. Probably the only ones you can't do that is New Orleans. New Orleans, they lock them up tight.
Yeah.
There was one we went into that was across the river in New Orleans that we actually walked into, and the people that were with us, they were like, we need to do this quickly because they will come around. And, we were being respectful, of course. We would have never been, accused of breaking anything or anything like that. They were like, it doesn't matter. They don't, because they have so many tourists do that and they are disrespectful, that they just can't take the chance. And I get that.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, that's a really, that's probably the hardest question I've ever been asked is what's my favorite, cemetery type thing. But I would definitely have to say Chicago as a whole. If you ever want to take a haunt vacation, to go to Chicago, like the third weekend of October, and you can literally see every type of home haunt you've ever wanted. I have gone up to Canada. I've gone up to Vancouver, and I've gone up to Edmonton. Edmonton has some amazing home haunts. Rutherford Manor's up there. I got to act in their haunt. That was a bucket list right there. They are fantastic people. I got to stay the weekend with them. I mean, that's that's probably the other part of this, is that there's not a couch in America that is not open to haunters. Mine included.
Very true.
The fact that people have opened up their homes to me, knowing my history on Facebook, that they accept me as one of their own, and that I mean, like, I was part of the family. We went and did things together. We had dinner together. It was like I had been there for a long time. Everybody came by and it was like, it's on. Yes, my couch is very comfortable. He has slept on it many times. But I've went to Bill and Melissa Borner's house in Illinois. They run Mind Trap Haunted House. I've done the spare room thing. Ken and Lilia from Onmore Manor put me up in their guest room, and in the morning they put this giant Jason animatronic right in front of the door, and they put all the lights out and everything like that. So I walked out in the morning, damn Jason in front of me. So it's that's just another personification of the community, is that we all will do anything for each other. If you're in town, like, I get pissed when people come to like Dallas or Portland and they didn't tell me they were here. Well, I was just here for really quick, or it was business or something like that. I was like, I will come to you. I will come to the, I've picked up people at the airport and taken them around real fast Portland or something like that and drive them back to their hotel. I've just met them at a restaurant, and then they went off and did their thing and went home, type of thing. And it's just the coolest thing that, I mean, I know, probably minus like Montana and like Wyoming and the Dakotas, I pretty much know a haunter in every state or every city that I can stay in. And it's just so cool to know that wherever you go, there's Halloween and there's a haunter for you,
Yeah.
A lot of us joked about making an app called Haunt Couch, where if you're a travel haunter, you want to go around there, find out what haunters have open couches on those gates. And we've always thought that would be absolutely hilarious. I'm the same way. I know, a lot of haunters in other states, other countries, and it's this family that we all get to have. We don't. Most of us will never even meet in person, but that doesn't stop how much we love each other, how much we respect each other. You need to mail you a prop, okay, man? Let's get this going. Like, the more haunts that are involved in this community, and I've said this a million times, this mentality was huge in the 80s going into about the mid 90s, before a lot of haunts just went, okay, I'm in it for myself now. And it's really been like these last, I'd say about maybe a couple years before COVID, where that started changing. And then COVID kind of created this facilitation where we were so isolated, we finally remembered what community was again.
Right.
And it's been like coming back in the way it was when I was growing up in haunts. To see that come around in full circle now, from when I was little to now, like seeing it back I'm like the Grinch, man. I'm not an emotional guy, but my heart grows 3 sizes larger every time I see another haunt going, hey, yeah, we're family.
Yeah. It's just, it's so cool to like go to these conventions and stuff like that, to see all the people, because really that's probably the best place you're going to see people that you've never talked to before, is at these conventions. And it's why I tell people, see, there you go. Haunted bed and breakfast is perfect. I like Haunt Couch better though. I like Haunt Couch better.
I've still not gotten to go to any of the conventions ever. And it's like literally probably the last thing on my haunter bucket list is to finally just go to one.
They are, just to go, like, this will probably make you want to go right here, is that we were at East Coast, brand new convention in Philadelphia, and these guys from New York called Dark Hollow Productions, please look at their YouTube page. They are some of the coolest guys out there, very technical, very theatrical, very immersive, but also the funniest guys you'll ever meet. And they literally messaged me and said, you need to come to room 405. The Jaws ride is ready. And I'm like, the Jaws ride? They tried to do it at Transworld and they forgot to tell me what time it was starting. And so I had a beef with them for a while, and it was a joking thing that, like, damn it, Aaron, because he didn't tell me what time it was ready, and they had the show and I didn't get to see it. And I left Transworld without seeing Jaws. We walk into this hotel room and we're literally on their beds, boat number 5, boat number 6, Amity boat number 5 and 6 from Jaws, the ride at Universal. And they reenacted the entire ride with a guy in a shark onesie who came out of the bathroom. Water effects was a spray bottle that the guy would walk across the beds and spray us. There was fire effects. There was a lighter that came across us. They had a gun that shot a sock at the shark. The high voltage lines was a piece of paper that was stuck on the wall. And they literally reenacted. They had shirts made up and a captain's hat and everything. And they reenacted the entire Jaws ride. So we're all sitting there, and Scott Tater Lynn from Froggies goes, should I call Ben Armstrong? Now, Ben Armstrong is the owner of Netherworld, one of the best haunted houses in the country. And this Aaron goes, the Ben Armstrong? And he's like, yeah, he's just a couple rooms down the hall there. And they go, all right. So Ben Armstrong is sitting on a bed in a hotel room at a convention watching Jaws the ride. Okay. And he walks out of that thing and he goes, what the fuck did I just see? That was the craziest thing I've ever seen in my life. Like, so then fast forward to, we all went to Otherworld in Philadelphia, and it's this really weird artsy installation thing.
We have one here too. Yeah.
Yeah. So I get a phone call from Tater and he goes, bring the Jaws people to me now. And I'm like, where are you? And he's like, I'm in the owner's office, Chris Safford from 13th floor. And he goes, bring them here now. And I'm like, I got to go into Otherworld and find these guys. So I found him, luckily enough, brought him back in. There's another guy in there, Alex Argan, who knows the Jaws ride by heart as well. So all three of them are now doing the Jaws ride for Ben Armstrong and Chris, the other people in this office room. And I told people, I said, here's the thing. Like, people kept asking. I sent 2 other groups up to that hotel room that night too. And I said, do you want to be the person that sees on Monday morning or Tuesday when I say, God, that freaking Jaws the ride was so awesome? And you go, what do you mean? Where was Jaws the ride? What you mean I missed it? Do you want to be the person who didn't get to see Jaws the ride?
No, I don't.
Right?
Let me just tell you, first of all, I'm a Double Dare kid. And if you guys at home don't know what that means, the biggest prize you can win on Double Dare was going to Universal Studios. And it was always the clips from the Jaws ride in King Kong. Always. So that's like part of my whole childhood experience. But also, I'm the resident stoner of our network. And let me just tell you, that sounds like the most amazing time I will ever have anywhere in life.
Yeah.
I don't even care about the convention. I just want to go see Jaws the ride.
Right. These guys nailed it. I mean, it was word for word. They had the headset. They had the other guy over there doing light effects with the lamp in the room, and he was like, cover to base. No, he's fine. It's come on back to base. I mean, they turn out the lights when you go into the into the boat dock thing and stuff like that. It was crazy, and it's like, those are the things that happen at conventions that solidify friendships forever, because now all of us in that room had that experience. We all got to share that. And there are so many things that happen at conventions that's nowhere near the trade show floor. Sure, there's plenty of stuff that's sold there, plenty of things that are thought up of. There's ideas, partnerships have formed on it, businesses have formed on those floors. Absolutely. Transworld, the majority of the industry has been formed because of after hours events at Transworld.
Oh, yeah, man.
Bar, drinking and having a good time, and partnerships have been made. Huge businesses have been created because of that. But it has nothing to do with the trade show floor. or the haunt tour or anything like that. You hang out with people that you've never met or you've wanted to meet, and you just get this. I mean, if you want to see the haunter community at its best, you go find the hotel that has the after hours thing going on.
Oh, yeah.
Or you go find this you'll walk into a restaurant that's right around any of these conventions, and you'll see 30 people in black shirts, of course. And they're all around the table in the middle of March, April, June, whatever. And they're all hanging out at the table. They're all eating. And I bet you 7 to 8 of them have never met each other and didn't know anything about each other.
I love that. I've been there virtually. I've been at multiple cons virtually because my friends will like take me around. Like, okay, this is Raz. You got to meet Raz. Talk to this person. Like, I've been at some of the dinners afterwards. Even I've been there, like virtual presence. I'm just, it's that physical. It's It's the smell. It's the feel. It's everything, man. Like, it's different when you're just at a computer watching everyone enjoy themselves.
Right. That was one of the things I did at Transworld this year. Is that I said I didn't do any events. The only event I did was. I don't even know if I did an event. No, I did the zombie game thing, whatever they did, because I was asked to be a zombie in it, so I had to do that. But other than that, I said I don't want to do any events. I want to just go with people. I want to find like this person. They're walking that way. There's a group of them. I've never met them before. Where are you guys going to dinner? Okay, can I come? Okay, yeah, let's go. I sat at dinner with like 12 people I didn't know. And my wife goes, why are we, who are these people? And I said, I don't know. We're going to go have dinner with them. And it was absolutely a blast.
This sounds like a new Raz and Pyle adventure. We need to it needs to be Raz, Pyle, and Troy. And we just need to go to one of these and just do this as a group because like me and Pyle do really stupid, crazy things just for fun like this, where we just do things. Like one time we went to Loveland Castle and took the tour on accident backwards. We went the whole thing. We wander and do weird things like that often, but it sounds like more fun to do it with, in that environment.
Oh, absolutely. One of the other crazy things we did at East Coast was right next to the convention is this place called the American Treasure Tour. And it's literally this guy's private collection of everything, literally everything pop culture. He has like 30 old Wurlitzers, like the actual ones with all the instruments in it. It is so amazing. He has everything pop culture, everything you can imagine, millions of dollars worth of stuff in there. He has the original, the animatronics in the Macy's windows, and they would He has the original one, the first one ever made, and it's a sword swallower, and it's literally
that is amazing.
And there's a tram ride. You literally get in this airport, the airport, the baggage cart guys, they've got like 6 of those, and you get in this tram ride and you go around this building for like 45 minutes looking at everything. And it is he has a whole display of Raggedy Ann dolls, huge display of player pianos, every type of player piano you could ever imagine. Literally everything you could ever think of from like the late 1800s to like 1980, 1990 is
you're describing heaven to me. That's what you're doing at the moment.
It is. You could go on that tram ride 10 times and still not see everything. Then you get to walk around and look at things as well. And it is one of the coolest things. And once again, it's that, you didn't go on the treasure tour.
Oh, dude, I literally took the extra tour when I did the whole Graceland thing just to see Elvis's planes because it was an extra ticket that like they just started doing like my first marriage, that was our honeymoon. We went down and I stopped by Graceland because I'm an Elvis guy. Yeah. And like, I just thought it was cool that I got to see his planes. But like what you're describing is literally like,
it's
my whole world right now.
It was $18 for the tram tour.
More than worth it, dude. I definitely pay more than that to do.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
I'd rather go there than Disney, to be honest.
Speaking of Graceland, I told my wife the other day, we're only 7 hours from Graceland. And she goes, okay, we're going. And I'm like, yeah, we have to go. It's going to be cool.
I loved it.
So I definitely, with conventions, my thing is that I want everybody to experience all of them, vendors and people alike, because you will absolutely find something in every one of them that is worth it. You will find which ones work for you as vendors or as attendees. And like in the beginning, I was like, well, I have West Coast. I don't need to go. Jose from Haunters Hangout would constantly tell me, you have to come to MHC. You have to come to MHC. There's no other show. You have to come here. You don't need to go to any other show. Stop going to West Coast. Go there. So I go to MHC. Of course, I had a blast. and it was awesome. But West Coast had the 13th floor where everybody decorated their rooms and we all drank and we hung out all night. No other show had that. So it was so I'm like, MHC, that was kind of cool. But, so then I came up with the idea for myself was that I can't say, well, this one's the best. I got to go to all of them. And I can't sit there and say, oh, well, you shouldn't go to this show and you shouldn't go to that show. Have I been to it? No. Well, then guess what? I can't say you shouldn't go to it. You should absolutely go to every show. And it's one of the hard things about living in the Northwest is that other than West Coast, which is now gone, it's so far to get to these other shows. It's so expensive to fly. It's impossible to drive, and so they're having a hard time leaving. Like, I'm trying to convince people in the Northwest, hey, here's this show. This is what this offers. This is what this offers. Please go out to these shows, because I don't care if you spend a dime on the trade show floor. Sure, I have plenty of vendor friends that I would love for you to buy stuff from, but I want you to experience the time that you have there, the friends you make, the connections, the just seeing people, sitting at home, like you were saying, sitting at home on a screen, watching the videos of a trade show floor walkthrough or seeing our videos of silly things we did at night is not the same. And you cannot say you experienced it unless you're there. And it's just such a cool thing to have for us that we get to pick from several different regions of this country. There's almost none that are untouched that you could go to a show that has at least something to do, especially with these horror cons and oddity shows and stuff like that. But those are not like ours. I'm sorry. You could go to an oddity show. You can go to a horror cosplay con. It's not like ours. I've been to cosplay ones and they just go home at night, or they go back to their hotel room. They may go to dinner or something like that, but they don't do anything. Like ours, it's like, oh my God, it is just the coolest thing to hang out and be with all these people. Right. Yeah, that was our fault. We may have brought the 13th floor to Ohio, and that was bad.
So here we are at a show that usually is only a 2-hour show. You broke every record that we've had, Troy, and I knew this was going to be a warning on this.
Did you mention Jaws in the tram ride? I'm sorry. I was part of that distraction there.
Well,
I cannot.
Pyle, I run a show called The Haunt Hour. I looked back the other day at our thing. We have one show that was an hour, and we've been doing it for 4 years. Okay, right. It's The Haunt Hour-ish. At least you don't put an hour on yours. You don't put something in the name of your show. How dumb were we? Well, let's call it The Haunt Hour. We literally sat there and said, we are going to do this for an hour. We're going to have 30 minutes of the guest and like 30 minutes or 20 minutes of us talking about news and stuff like that. It's never been that way because people are just so interesting. I
didn't say this earlier, but I'm a big fan of the Haunt Hour, by the way. A huge fan of it. I didn't get a chance to tell you that earlier.
Oh, thank you.
Well,
I disagree about the mistake part.
Jim is my biggest fan. Jim is my best friend, and he's my biggest fan, and he loves me so much.
Well, let me ask you this, Troy. In the future, do you think that you would consider coming back onto the show and doing a little more squirrel?
You know what? If you have a guest that that flakes on you, or you have an open slot, and I'm available, I got you, buddy.
Okay, that's awesome.
Anytime you want. Even if you want, and if you want to craft it and be like, hey, we're only going to talk about this topic tonight or something like that. Like, I know
we can't do that. We're not capable on this network of only sticking to one topic. It will never.
I was going because there used to be a show. I don't know who used to do it, but it used to be Drew Badger from Big Scary Show. He will have shows that are just about like first-time vendors at a convention. And he only wants people that are first-time vendors, but then he brings one on that's been a long-time vendor to kind of be the yin to the yang type thing. And so then they would say, yeah, that's right, Jim, that, you would only talk about that one topic. So, but if that ever comes up, I'm gay. I have the best friends. I have the bestest friends in the world.
Well, you brought up earlier, Kevin, and here in 4 weeks, I will be at Midwest Haunters Convention.
Good.
I already talked to Kevin.
Good.
Me and him are going to go, and we're going to do a show together.
Good.
For Chainer's Haunted Secrets.
Nice.
And I told him, I said, there's not just one piece about you. There's many different pieces. I know this.
Yes.
And the greatest thing is I'm going to be in the same location as you. So please, let's get together and let's do this. And he said, absolutely. So as long as he doesn't forget it or he doesn't get bit by a zombie on his zombie walk,
right?
We're going to go ahead and we're going to have him on in 4 weeks. In 2 weeks, we're going to have Vic, which is the owner of Blood Prison.
Oh,
yeah, and he also has his own podcast, just like you guys.
They are very Blood Prison is definitely on my list. I missed being able to go to the Ohio convention that was up there for the 2 years. I think it went 2 years.
It was one we were going to go to. COVID destroyed.
That's right. That's right.
It was going to be called Reincarnation.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. Yes, because I do need to make it up to Blood Prison, and that's the cool thing is I've got probably, I mean, between you and Max and Tater and Ryan, I've got 4 or 5 people up there that I could be like, I'm coming up to Ohio. I want to go see Blood Prison, or I want to go see Dent. Max has always said, hey, if you want to see Dent, just let me know. And you can, Tater said the same thing. I can stay at Tater's house. We can drive down there and see Dent, and we can go, so it's Blood Prison's definitely on my list. That'll be a good show. That's a really cool story about that place too. I love when they put stuff in a place like that.
I want you to officially add Hell's Dungeon and Dayton to your list, and I'm on a haunt couch, so.
Oh, you're the banner on there, right? You're the
creepy basement couch. Yeah.
My basement comes with a cot. It's not a couch.
Yeah. Well,
but
whatever.
I do absolutely want to thank you for sharing a fraction of your life.
There's more.
Oh, you know what? Between you and Mike Ross.
Yep. There it is on couch. There it is. And we didn't even talk about Mr. Unicorn or Wilbur or
no,
or the fact that you owe him one of those little squish buses, because Pyle talked about that like on several shows before, like in the last week.
The stress coffin.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that's what it was. Yeah, the stress coffin.
I got you, buddy.
That's what you said last year.
That was our last mystery that needed to be solved during this conversation. Was where his squish toy was.
Do you know how many? I mean, dude, look. I mean, this is my notes thing on my phone. Okay, it's not. It's yeah. That's not grocery list, people. Okay, I'm so disorganized though, and my wife's super organized. She's the only reason the tours aren't a thing because she made me a spreadsheet that was kick ass. And I'm like, I'm sitting here going, I had to start going on to Google Tasks and being like, send Pyle Chainer's stuff. It was literally on there, and it messaged me on my phone. It goes, you haven't sent Pyle his stuff yet.
Hell yeah.
Because I'm getting so.
Well, I do want to thank you once again for coming on, and we would love to have you back on the show sometime, and then we can talk about other stuff. Trust me, there's a lot to you. I know that we didn't even touch half of the skin that is on you.
I try to keep myself busy, because if I'm not, then I'm bored, and that's just I don't ever stop. I mean, after this, I mean, it's only 10:42 where I am. I'm probably going to end up doing something. I mean, I've got stuff to do for the tours. I got stuff to do for my haunt. I got, I never stop.
I'll be up till 6 easy after this, 6 in the still working on videos and shit. The haunt.
6 o'clock. I got to wake up and fire up a locomotive.
There you go.
Lord, so, well, hello once again. My name is Pyle, and I would like to thank everybody, but we're going to go down the list. Raz, where can we find you?
You can find me at RazTSlasher.com, at Hell's Dungeon in Dayton, Ohio, and on the Owlite Network. You can also find me tomorrow morning at your mom's house. She makes fantastic pancakes.
Oh, I love her pancakes.
Friday, where can we find you?
Here at Owlite, at Fakor, on my pages at Friday with the Library in the Blue Box, and my author page, Jennifer Elliott.
And Troy, your long list of different places. Where can we find you?
But there's no pancakes? Friday has no pancakes? Okay, all right.
I have pancakes. You just have to come get them.
Oh, okay.
I have pancakes. I have waffles.
Waffles. Do you have waffles in the state of Texas? In the shape of Texas? I'm getting
have to get a
that
new
waffle
one.
maker. I'm getting that waffle maker.
Yeah, I want one too.
Anyways, Amazon. And so I am Scare Hollow on everything. And I also own a Texas waffle maker. So Scare Hollow on YouTube, that's where most of my content is. That is DIY, all that stuff. I have plenty of DIY videos and stuff. So Scare Hollow on YouTube, terrortours.rip. We have the .rip address. It's so super cool. So you can check that out. We're going to be in San Antonio, Texas, and in Philadelphia this year. We will move around those states for a while, so you can come see us. We got pretty good pricing on it and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, come down to Texas anytime.
Please do.
And once again, you can find me here on the Elliott Network, and you can find me on Facebook, Pyle Hazard. And once again, for anybody that's going to the Midwest Haunters Convention, please come see me. I want to meet everybody. I want to greet everybody. Trust me, I want to know more about the haunt industry. Every single person that is out there that scares people, designs things, whatever. You are all part of the haunt industry, and we should all be proud of every single part of it. Yeah. So tonight, I want to say goodbye to everybody.
See you guys later. Say hello to your mom.
Bye.
Have a great